Under a quiet starry night, a young boy's desperate screams shatter the peace. Our boy Woon thrashes against a servant and begs to know what just happened to his mother. But instead of comforting his son, the clan leader just coldly orders everyone to shut up. The old man demands this entire incident be swept under the rug and strictly forbids any talk of revenge for the sake of the clan. Woon stares in absolute disbelief with tears streaming down his face. He screams at his deadbeat dad for being a coward who will not even avenge his own wife as the guards drag him away into the dark. That is the final straw. Woon turns his back on his family forever and sprints out of the estate. He vows to build his own power from scratch and make everyone who stayed silent pay in blood no matter how long it takes. Fast forward 12 years and our boy is all grown up. He is currently standing in a burning building while a spiky-haired guy begs for his life. The dude offers to grant literally any wish if our guy just spares him and tells the Marine Alliance he surrendered, but our protagonist just silently draws his blood-stained sword. Looking down at the severed head on the floor, our boy admits there is actually something he wants. The spiky-haired dude grins, thinking he just bought his way out of a beheading, but then our guy hits him with the most cheerful smile imaginable. The dude instantly realizes he is getting trolled and his grin drops into pure rage. With a smug look, our boy fully readies his blade. The spiky-haired guy completely loses his mind and charges forward screaming that he is going to tear him apart. But before he can even blink, our guy flashes right past him with a burst of blue energy. He delivers a devastating strike that sends the dude flying backward to crash violently into the floor. The dust hasn't even settled before the spiky-haired guy leaps out of the rubble for a desperate sneak attack. He screams that he's going to send our boy's head straight to the Marine Alliance, but our guy doesn't even flinch. In a flash, he draws his blade and effortlessly strikes down another masked goon. Just another day at the office for a Marine captain. With the enemy base burning to the ground behind him, a woman approaches. She calls him captain and tosses him a scroll, saying she was told to deliver it once the job was done. Our blood-soaked protagonist flashes a warm but absolutely terrifying smile and thanks her for waiting. She just deadpans and asks him to maybe wipe the fresh gore off his face first. He casually wipes the blood away and uses it as ink to sign the scroll. He thinks to himself that this might be the end of one journey, but it's definitely the start of another. Tossing the scroll back to his bewildered subordinate, he laughs and walks off into the night. The delivery girl asks if he is heading back to his hometown now that he is done playing Hitman. He stops, flashes a charming smile, and drops his new zip code. Cut to our boy chilling on a boat. He takes a trip down memory lane, reflecting on how he left his clan to join the Marine Alliance and grind his way up to captain over the last 12 years. And it all paid off because he finally secured the bag. He has enough cash to buy a whole manor and start his own sect. He is literally vibrating with excitement, clutching his money pouch and cackling at the sky. The boatman is definitely wondering if he needs to call for backup, asking if our guy has some good news. He apologizes for tweaking out and explains he is just hyped to build his dream sect. But the boatman hits him with a reality check. There is only one property for sale in these parts, and it is straight up haunted. Our guy thanks the boatman for the ride and steps off to claim his dream property. He is finally ready to start his own sect and live his best life. But his excitement instantly flatlines. The place looks like an abandoned spirit shack. He immediately hoists the real estate agent by the collar, ready to throw hands for trying to scam him out of his hard-earned cash. The sweaty salesman begs him to just take a look around first. Inside it is filthy but surprisingly massive. Our boy notes it is super rare to find a spot with 5-hole training grounds and asks what ancient clan used to own it. The agent plays dumb about the history but casually drops the absolute worst catch ever. Every single person who bought this manor mysteriously dropped dead on their very first night. No wounds and no clues, just straight up unalived. So yeah, the locals call it cursed. Our guy glares at him with pure murder in his eyes for trying to sell him a literal death trap. The agent panics and immediately slashes the price to 1/10 of the market value. Hearing that sweet discount, our boy instantly switches up his mood and happily hands over the cash. A bargain is a bargain. Our boy hands over a fat sack of cash to the seller. The guy hypes him up as Beckley Woon, captain of the Marine Alliance, and hands over the deed. A system message pops up confirming the transaction. Woon starts shaking like a leaf. The seller is confused for a second before he just laughs it off, basically saying good luck surviving the night, and dips with the money. Left alone, Woon stares up at his massive new estate and lets out a massive cheer. He finally has his very own manor. He is so hyped he slaps a wooden pillar, ready to start recruiting disciples. But the wood instantly crumbles into a massive cloud of dust. Yeah, maybe a deep clean is in order first. He throws on his cleaning gear and gets to work scrubbing floors and dusting rafters. By sunset, he is exhausted but down to the final room. He throws open the doors to the main hall, ready to finish this up. While scrubbing the floors of his new haunted real estate, our boy spots a random sword left on a stand. Thinking he can flip it for some quick cash, he pulls the blade from its sheath, only for it to start glowing blue. His eyes widen as he is suddenly teleported into a massive glowing blue hall. Before he can even ask where the heck he is, a system window pops up, grading him as a second-grade martial artist and praising him for having the highest score out of everyone who took the test. But there is no time to celebrate his high score. His instincts kick in and he whips around just in time to dodge a high-speed projectile that smashes into the floor right behind him. A cocky smirk spreads across his face as he connects the dots. This hidden trap room is exactly what flatlined all the previous owners. He glances up at a smoking cannon barrel mounted on the ceiling, realizing the trial has officially begun, and confidently strides forward to face the music. He immediately goes to work, parrying a relentless barrage of laser-fast attacks. Gripping his now heavily chipped blade, he yells for the room to bring it on, ready to show this automated defense system exactly why he was a top-tier captain. Our guy tries to brace himself but gets absolutely launched by a massive shockwave. He goes flying across the room, screaming his lungs out like he just stepped on a Lego. He digs his crumbling sword into the floor to hit the brakes and realizes he is finally out of the attack zone. He takes a second to catch his breath before spotting a brand new blade just chilling in the floor. The system is actually throwing him a bone. He grabs the fresh weapon and puts 2 and 2 together. If the traps do not reach this far back, they must be protecting something at the very end of the hall. Our boy locks in and sprints straight back into the danger zone. A whole forest of metal pipes rises from the floor right in front of him. They start blasting iron orbs like a medieval Gatling gun. But our captain does not even flinch. He swings his new sword and deflects the entire barrage with a massive wave of blue energy. Our boy isn't backing down. He charges right into the barrage, swinging his blade like a madman and deflecting the incoming fire with pure grit. But this defense system isn't playing around. A massive explosion rocks the hall, sending up a huge cloud of smoke and debris. He's not done yet, though. He busts out some fancy footwork, spinning through the air before unleashing a massive crescent slash right into the heart of the trap. The attack connects, shattering the mechanism into a million pieces as he lands hard on the ground. But the celebration is cut short. He realizes there are still steel orbs left in the chamber, and to make matters worse, his trusty sword just crumbled into dust right in his hand. Talk about terrible timing. He looks around wondering if the nightmare is finally over. Right on cue, a system message pops up confirming he passed the test of martial prowess. Our boy just collapses on the floor, completely gassed. But hey, hard work pays off. A glowing blue sword floats down from the ceiling and he happily snatches it up, figuring it is the absolute bare minimum the universe owes him after that ridiculous trial. The system then asks him to name his new crib to finalize the whole ordeal. He does not even have to think about it. He proudly declares his new faction will be called the Righteous Heaven Sect. A glowing symbol brands itself onto the back of his hand, officially registering the property. Feeling confident, he calls out to whatever ghost or spirit is supposedly haunting the place to show itself. But instead of a spooky ghost, a system window pops up initializing the Sect system, leaving our guy completely dumbfounded. The chapter kicks off with a massive thud echoing down the traditional hallway. The sketchy deed seller bursts into the room looking absolutely unhinged. Our boy is just chilling at his desk, practicing his calligraphy when the guy grabs him by the collar, screaming about how he was never warned that a literal ghost would show up. The seller points a shaking finger at a glowing blue system window floating right next to our protagonist. The system is literally trolling the guy, stating that only people bound by the contract can see it. Our boy decides to gaslight him to the Shadow Realm, calmly asking if he hit his head last night because there is absolutely nothing there. Defeated by the sheer audacity, the seller slumps into a chair. He mutters that he still needs the manor for now, which makes our boy sigh in relief since he really does not want to deal with a refund. Getting down to business, the seller mentions they need to prep for the Sect establishment ceremony and asks for 20 sets of uniforms. As our boy pours some tea, the seller starts yapping about the local market. He brings up the legendary Yellow Dragon Hall, hyping up their master as a guy so terrifying that even the great clans walk on eggshells around him. Taking a smug sip of his tea, the seller brutally reminds our boy that with his non-existent budget, he has zero chance of affording their premium threads. Our boy glares at him while the system window cries about the manor being called haunted. He starts doing the math in his head. He literally just signed the contract yesterday, so there is absolutely no way rumors about a haunted house could have spread through the entire town this fast unless a certain sketchy real estate agent opened his big mouth. Our guy connects the dots and realizes this sweaty merchant is the one who spread the haunted rumors in the first place. He creeps up behind him with literal laser eyes, ready to collect a soul. The merchant tries to play it off, saying the fact that our boy is still alive proves the place is totally safe. But our guy is not having it, screaming that this is all his fault for selling him a ghost house. He tries to go door to door to get some Sect uniforms made, but thanks to his new spooky reputation, he gets the door slammed in his face. One shopkeeper even chucks a wooden bowl right at his dome, calling him an unlucky bastard. Our guy walks away, rubbing his face, wondering how the gossip spread faster than a group chat while the whole town whispers about him. Before he can throw a pity party, he spots a grown man roughing up a little kid in the middle of the street. An older guy comes running over, yelling for the kid named Sioyu and demanding to know what is going on. The kid screams that these scammers stole his money instead of curing his sister. The thug just laughs it off and delivers a brutal backhand right to the kid's face, sending blood flying. The head thug tells his lackey to handle this quietly so their boss doesn't find out. The goon draws his sword with a wicked grin, ready to silence the old man and the kid for good. But before he can even take a swing, our guy flies in out of nowhere and plants a devastating kick right into his face, sending him crashing into the dirt. The boss yells out, demanding to know who the hell he is. Our guy just stands protectively in front of the victims, crossing his arms and smirking. He casually roasts them, saying their sect name really does not carry much weight these days. Another goon leaps into the air trying to catch him off guard, but the protagonist easily parries the strike and delivers a brutal counter kick that buries the guy into the pavement. He stands over the crushed bodies, proving it is never smart to judge an opponent by their lack of a famous title. He shoots a cold glare at the last man standing. The final thug completely loses his mind and charges forward, screaming about how he just made an enemy of the White Sword Sect. Our guy just effortlessly sidesteps the sloppy attack without even breaking a sweat. Another lackey charges in, but our guy just casually decks him in the face. The last thug standing realizes he is completely outmatched as the new sect leader stares him down. Our protagonist just facepalms. He is so done with these stupid rumors about his haunted house ruining his reputation. Somewhere else, the merchant who spread the rumor does a massive spit take. He points right at the final thug and declares an official challenge against the White Sword Sect. He is just annoyed he cannot even get some basic uniforms made because of their nonsense. The thug leaps into the air trying to teach him a lesson, but our boy just casually blocks the heavy strike with his scabbard, creating a massive shockwave. The lackey tries to follow up with a wide sweeping slash, but the sect leader easily ducks under the blade. He steps in and delivers a brutal counterpunch straight to the gut. The thug goes flying and crashes into the dirt. Our guy stands over him with his sword pointed right at his throat. Our guy casually invites the trash he just beat up to visit his new sect anytime. The defeated goon on the ground tries to save face, warning him that he is going to regret this. Our boy completely ignores him and turns to check on the old man and the kid. The kid immediately drops to the dirt, begging the protagonist to save his sister. Before our guy can even point out that he is a martial artist and not a doctor, his system chimes in. A new trade opportunity has been detected, and the target is a 3rd grade. Our boy smirks, knowing that is a pretty high tier for a random kid. The kid explains that since their parents passed away, his sister has been keeping them afloat with her sewing skills. That is actually perfect since our guy needs someone to make uniforms. But recently, she caught some weird illness that literally freezes her hands and feet. Wasting no time, the kid leads them to a super sketchy rundown shack. Our guy steps into the creaky shack and immediately spots the sister chilling by a campfire. But instead of just warming up like a normal person, she has her bare hands shoved straight into the roaring flames. He is absolutely baffled. He realizes her situation is way worse than a simple cold. The blazing heat of the fire is violently clashing with the freezing temperatures in her limbs. He wonders if this is some nasty side effect of absorbing way too much yin energy. The old man chimes in asking how she even ended up like this, and she just casually brushes it off as her condition acting up. Deciding to play doctor, our boy asks for a quick pulse check and sits down across from her. He grabs her hand and starts channeling his own energy to get a proper read on her internal network. Instantly, his system starts screaming at him with warning pop-ups about dangerous levels of yin energy invading her body. Telling his inner voice to shut up for a second, he pushes deeper to analyze just how bad this frostbite really is. Our boy channels his energy to get a read on her condition and immediately recognizes the frosty vibes. He explains that she has a super rare constitution that acts like a sponge for yin energy. It is the exact same body type as the legendary Sword Empress. For a martial artist, it is an absolute cheat code. But for a regular kid, it is basically a death sentence. He sighs and drops the bad news. She has absorbed way too much yin energy and her yang energy is completely tapped out. Any normal cure would just be a band-aid before the symptoms come back swinging. The little brother immediately loses his mind, calling our guy a liar and a scammer just like all the other doctors. Before Woon can even defend himself, his trusty system chimes in with a brand new notification. It introduces a shiny new item called Essence Water, which can permanently boost a sect member's health and inner energy recovery rate. And would you look at that? A new quest just dropped offering 50 drops of the stuff if he recruits his very first disciple. The gears instantly start turning in our protagonist's head. He flashes a devious little smirk, realizing he can cure the girl and bag his first recruit all in one go. He leans in and tells the kids he found a permanent fix. Our boy extends a hand and drops the ultimate proposal. He tells the girl he can fix her freezing sickness if she becomes his very first disciple. But she is not buying it. She has never learned martial arts in her life and looks at him like he is running a crypto scam. In her eyes, martial artists are all the same. They claim to be righteous heroes but only care about their own power and leave innocent people bleeding in the mud. She remembers her parents getting killed by these so-called masters and wonders if this guy is just another selfish prick looking to use her and throw her away. But he just keeps his hand out with a gentle smile. No pressure and no arrogant demands. She stares at his calloused palm and realizes that maybe this guy is actually built different. Her icy heart thaws just a little bit. Letting out a heavy sigh, she decides to trust him one last time and grabs his hand. boom. The system immediately chimes in to announce the quest is complete and drops 50 units of essence water into his inventory. But the second they make contact, our boy winces as a massive wave of her freezing yin energy shoots straight up his arm. The system immediately flags the contact with her extreme yin energy and slaps a minor injury on his hand. But our boy does not even flinch. He cashes in that sweet essence water to trigger a targeted recovery effect. The girl is absolutely stunned as actual warmth returns to her freezing hands. The system confirms her recovery rate is spiking. Our guy flashes a cocky grin knowing his literal cheat code is working perfectly. He doubles down and spams more recovery buffs. He literally levitates her in a whirlwind of pure healing vibes. He pours his own energy into her system to kickstart her yang energy production and balance her out. She stares at her hands in total disbelief since the freezing sickness is completely gone. Her little brother immediately tackles her in a tearful hug. The old man watches in absolute awe and asks if he just cured her with pure energy arts. Our guy just plays it cool like it was nothing. The old man bursts into a hearty laugh and admits he finally understands why the Marine Alliance leader hyped this kid up so much. Our boy is completely caught off guard. Wait a minute, how does this random grandpa know his old boss? The old-timer realizes he skipped the pleasantries and decides it is finally time to drop the act. He flashes a wicked grin as a massive golden dragon spirit erupts behind him. Turns out this unassuming grandpa is actually Cheon Gamyong, the legendary master of the Yellow Dragon Hall. Yeah, our guy just accidentally befriended the biggest textile mogul in the entire Marine. Talk about a lucky break. Over at the White Sword Sect headquarters, the mood is absolutely in the gutter. The sect leader is furious that his goons got completely humiliated by some random new faction, and he is not taking their apologies lightly. He grabs one of the trembling disciples and brutally crushes his hand under his staff. The guy screams for mercy, but the boss is already plotting his revenge. He flashes a totally unhinged grin, deciding he needs to throw a massive welcoming party for this upstart Bakley Woon. Meanwhile, our boy is sweating bullets, realizing he just casually saved the master of the legendary Yellow Dragon Hall. The old man laughs off the formality, while the kids immediately drop to the floor to bow to the VIP. The geezer is so impressed he enthusiastically offers his full backing to their new sect. Woon stays quiet as his system pops up confirming this guy is a first-grade business partner. He knows the Yellow Dragon Hall is a massive merchant guild packed with elite martial masters whose influence could easily sway the entire Murim. Our boy stares down the legendary guildmaster and drops a massive bomb. He politely declines the old man's generous offer to join the Yellow Dragon Hall. The girl behind him is absolutely stunned. The old-timer crosses his arms and takes massive offense that some rookie would dare reject him. But our guy just flashes a sharp grin and proposes a business deal instead. He promises to gift the massive merchant guild with unprecedented fame. The old man flares up with a furious red aura and thinks this kid is just arrogant. He points out that our boy lives in a literal rundown shack and hasn't even held a founding ceremony yet. Building a top-tier sect in 10 years sounds like pure delusion. The guildmaster bursts into a booming laugh and calls the statement completely absurd. He flares his golden energy to test the waters. Our protagonist just sits there with a knowing smirk and a glowing eye. He is completely unfazed by the pressure. The old man strokes his beard and actually considers the crazy proposal. He realizes this kid might just have the insane confidence to pull it off. Our boy just keeps smiling because he knows he already has this negotiation in the bag. The old-timer flexes a massive fiery dragon aura. He warns our boy that if this new sect ends up being a total flop, he is going to personally hold him accountable. But our guy just flashes a cocky grin. He summons a massive blue tiger aura right back and tells the geezer to chill out. Satisfied with that answer, the old man stands up and suddenly screams at the top of his lungs to bring in the silk. This completely jump scares the kids. Outside, a whole squad of elite guards rolls up with a massive horse-drawn carriage. Our protagonist drools over the mountain of premium fabric. He wonders just how much cash this is all worth. He also realizes the old man's bodyguards are actually top-tier martial artists. They were lurking right outside this whole time, and he barely even sensed them. The old man just laughs it off. He hops into his luxury ride and tells his driver to step on it. Since he's already out and about, he figures he might as well go crash the Evil Path Alliance and grab a drink with an old buddy. Back at the newly founded Righteous Heaven sect, our boy is already putting that premium silk to good use. He steps out rocking a brand new custom fit. The system immediately chimes in to confirm the drip is immaculate. It tells him the expertly crafted robes have officially boosted his dignity and charm stats. He does a quick spin move to test the mobility and realizes it feels like he is wearing absolutely nothing at all. Our boy gets a shiny new system prompt asking him to pick a reward. He strokes his chin for a second before tapping the screen to lock in the exclusive trait unlock option. He immediately pulls up his new disciple's stat window to see what he is working with. She has some solid base traits like diligence and responsibility, but a big fat warning pops up. She is way too out of shape and lacks the internal energy to actually open any of them. He taps the screen trying to force the unlock anyway, but the system hits him with a hard no. Annoyed but unfazed, he decides he will just have to grind her levels up the old-fashioned way. He turns to the girl with a bright smile and announces that her training starts today. She stares at her hands nervously, wondering if she can actually pull this off. But seeing her new master reach out to her with such confidence gets her totally hyped up. She clenches her fists ready to learn some legendary secret techniques. Cut to 5 seconds later and she is sweating bullets in a basic horse stance. Welcome to the martial arts world, kid. The poor girl is absolutely flabbergasted. Our guy casually tells her to hold a basic horse stance for an entire hour. She thought she was going to learn some flashy moves right out the gate, but instead she is getting the ultimate leg day workout. She nervously asks if she can really learn martial arts. Our sect leader reassures her that her rare yin energy makes her the perfect candidate. He is practically drooling over her potential as a top-tier disciple, which prompts the system to literally call him out for being a total creep. Suddenly, the sweaty real estate guy comes sprinting into the courtyard. He shoves a scroll into our boy's chest and asks if he knows the White Sword sect leader personally. The little brother immediately pops a blood vessel hearing the name of the thugs who jumped them yesterday. Our guy opens the letter with a deadpan stare. Turns out the local tyrant is hosting a martial arts tournament. This guy is notorious for using these competitions to absolutely bully weaker sects and stroke his own ego. The sweaty messenger points out that they are a completely unknown startup sect, so they are definitely just being set up for public humiliation. The mustache guy realizes he just called their brand new sect a bunch of nobodies and immediately starts backpedaling. The system even throws up a crying emoji as he begs for his life to avoid getting packed up. But our boy is not even mad. He just flashes a devious smirk. He realizes this little tournament is the perfect PR stunt to get their name on the map. His new disciple starts sweating bullets. She assumes they are entering as a duo and worries she is going to totally drag him down. Woon just gives her a deadpan stare over his shoulder and casually rests his hand on his sword. He drops the absolute bomb that he is not entering at all. She is going solo. She tries to hype herself up for a split second before the reality completely shatters her brain and she hits absolute panic mode. Later that night, our girl is absolutely wiped out on the floor. She has been doing nothing but the horse stance for weeks and her stamina is completely shot. She remembers her master pushing her to her limits and wonders what the heck is going through his head. Then she remembers him casually mentioning he is going to pick a fight with the local thugs and she bolts upright in a panic. She sneaks over to his room to check on him and finds the big bad martial arts master struggling to sew her some new training robes. The system even roasts him for stabbing his own fingers 23 times. Seeing him put in all this effort just for her, she cannot help but smile and quietly slips away. Our boy is surprised by a sudden system notification about her progress. The next day, the town is bustling for the big duel event hosted by the White Sword sect. The guys running the registration desk are gossiping about why their boss is making this a public spectacle instead of a private beatdown. Turns out the sect leader wants to make a very public example out of anyone who dares to mess with his crew. Our duo pulls up to the registration desk to get our girl officially entered into the tournament. The clerk taking their names takes one look at her and immediately starts simping. He thinks she is absolutely adorable, but is definitely judging their homemade drip. She lets out a little giggle, making our boy flinch. He asks if she actually likes the fit he stayed up all night sewing. She admits the stitching is a little busted, but she absolutely loves it anyway. Suddenly, a heavy boot steps onto the main stage. The ruthless White Sword sect leader steps up to the mic and starts feeding the crowd absolute garbage about how this whole event is just to foster friendship and support the youth. Yeah, right, buddy. To sweeten the pot, he has his lackey open a wooden box revealing a glowing blue orb. The system chimes in, letting our boy know this is the lesser blue pill. It is a legendary wudong elixir that basically supercharges your chi core and solidifies your flow. The crowd absolutely loses their minds over this prize. They start glazing the sect leader for being so incredibly generous. With the bait successfully dangled in front of these clueless martial artists, the host smirks and announces that the bracket selections are finally ready to begin. The tournament host is already plotting his villain arc. He wants his disciples to absolutely crush the competition and show these peasants the overwhelming difference in power. The arena is packed and ready for the bloodbath. Down in the pits, our girl is sweating bullets. She grips her wooden sword and asks her master if she can actually pull this off. After all, she literally only practiced the horse stance for the last month. But our boy just smiles and tells her to trust the process. He trained her himself, so she is basically a walking tank now. She hypes herself up and gets ready to throw down. As she steps onto the stage, a massive blue flaming bird aura erupts behind her. The crowd is completely clueless, but she is radiating pure main character energy. The referee calls the start of the preliminary round. She introduces herself as the Righteous Heavens sect representative, while her opponent just glares at her like she is free real estate. Our girl steps up to the plate for her very first match. She casually drops the bomb that she has only been holding a sword for a single month. Her opponent probably thinks this is a free win right up until the referee yells begin. Siwa does not hesitate for a microsecond. She swings her wooden practice sword with the force of a freight train and absolutely launches the poor guy across the arena. He crashes straight into the pavilion wall and is instantly knocked out cold. The referee is completely paralyzed. The entire crowd goes dead silent, trying to process how a tiny seamstress just sent a grown man into orbit. Our boy just stands in the crowd looking smug as hell while the ref finally snaps out of it and raises the blue flag to declare Siowa the winner. He gives his disciple a proud thumbs up. Over the past 2 weeks, he drilled the proper martial arts mindset into her head. Most rookies are terrified of actually hurting their opponent, so they hold back their swings. But Siowa has zero chill. She is fully capable of dropping her entire power level on some random dude without a second thought. And honestly, she looks pretty thrilled about it. Our boy watches his disciple celebrate her easy dub and figures she is a lock for the main bracket. Since he doesn't have to babysit her anymore, he decides to scout the rest of the competition to see if anyone else has some actual talent. His eyes land on a match featuring one of the White Sword Sect goons. This guy is absolutely styling on his opponent with zero hesitation. He lands a brutal combo and kicks the poor dude right in the jaw, sending blood flying everywhere. The opponent is clearly down for the count, but this edgelord decides to charge up a massive overhead strike anyway. He slams his wooden sword down with a nasty red aura, completely ignoring the referee screaming at him to stop the match. The ref finally calls it, but the goon just clicks his tongue like he was interrupted mid-snack. Our boy watches the whole display and instantly clocks the guy as a massive loser playing stupid games against weaklings. Right on cue, his disciple runs up hyping up her own victory, but she suddenly freezes up. That same White Sword psycho walks right past them, leaking a disgusting amount of killing intent that leaves the poor girl completely paralyzed. Our guy warns his disciple about her next opponent, but they get interrupted by a booming voice. It is the White Sword Sect leader himself, rolling up to congratulate the girl on making it to the main round. Our boy is not impressed and tells the old man to put his disciples on a tighter leash. The sect leader just laughs it off and tries to poach the girl right in front of him, putting his grubby hand on her shoulder. But our guy instantly slaps that hand away. He fires back with a sarcastic compliment about the White Sword disciples, which instantly pops a vein on the old man's forehead. Realizing he is not winning this trash talk, the sect leader calls over a guide named Wang Pal and walks off with a supervillain smirk. Wang Pal introduces himself as their personal tour guide for the event. But as he talks, a system window pops up revealing this random NPC actually has god-tier genetics and insane martial arts talent. Without missing a beat, our boy completely ignores personal space and grabs the guy by the shoulders to inspect the merchandise. Our boy immediately gets handsy, grabbing the guide by the shoulders to inspect his build. He gets right up in the guy's personal space, admiring his muscular structure with a creepy smile that has the poor dude sweating bullets. The guide practically sprints away to show them to their rooms, leaving the disciple completely flabbergasted by her master's sudden lack of boundaries. She tries to ask about her upcoming match, but our guy cuts her off. He flashes a confident smirk and casually asks how she feels about having that beefcake as her brand new junior disciple. Flashback time. The White Sword Sect leader is scouting a new meathead named Wang Pal. The boss praises the kid's bulky build and invites him to join the crew, which gets our boy grinning like he just won the lottery. Cut to reality where Wang Pal is eating dirt. He just got absolutely folded in a sparring match by a younger disciple named Jingguang. Wang Pal whines that it was just practice and the kid did not need to go so hard. But the sect leader is watching from the balcony and he is not impressed. He coldly tells the meathead that his new job is playing janitor for the rest of his life. Wang Pal jolts awake in a cold sweat. It was just a nightmare about his tragic backstory. But his real life is not much better. He spots Jingguang chilling in his room polishing a wooden sword. The psycho kid glares at him and demands a live punching bag to warm up for the tournament. Wang Pal has zero spine, so he reluctantly agrees to get beat up again. The musclehead wakes up in a cold sweat, realizing his brutal defeat was just a nightmare. But there is no time to dwell on bad dreams because the semifinals are officially kicking off. Our boy breaks down the opponent's illusion sword style for his disciple. It is a tricky technique with a ton of variations, but it leaves massive blind spots if the user messes up. He asks the girl what her game plan is, and she just shrugs and says she will try her best not to get bamboozled. Our boy just chuckles at her innocence. Outside the arena, he gives her a much easier method to secure the bag. He points out a fatal flaw in the guy's technique and assures her that if she exploits it, she is guaranteed to win. The girl enthusiastically agrees to the plan. The old merchant guildmaster slides up to our protagonist and drops an early congratulations for turning a sick girl into a semi-finalist in under a month. Our boy just smirks and tells the old man to save the praise until she actually takes home the trophy tomorrow. Down on the arena floor, the two fighters face off. The edgy opponent immediately starts running his mouth, claiming the entire crowd is just waiting to watch her lose. But our girl is not fazed in the slightest. She claps back that her sect leader believes in her victory, and that is all the validation she needs. The guy just bursts out laughing, calling her completely delusional. The match kicks off with a heavy clash of wooden swords. The illusion sword guy flashes a cocky grin, giving our girl props for her guts before unleashing a massive sweeping strike. Siohua manages to block it, but quickly realizes this dude's fundamentals are no joke. He doesn't give her a second to breathe, following up with another wild slash that forces her to leap back. She goes full defensive mode. She figures if she can't tell his feints from his real attacks, she just needs to guard her center. But the guy leaps in with a heavy overhead blow that sends her skidding across the arena. He smirks, genuinely impressed she actually blocked that. Deciding to stop playing around, he flares up his purple aura, admits he underestimated her, and starts launching dark energy slashes her way. The opponent unleashes a massive wave of purple energy, catching our girl completely off guard. But she remembers her master's golden rule. Guys who rely on flashy illusion swords are usually absolute garbage at close range. If she can just close the gap and land a solid hit, the match is in the bag. Hyped up and ready to brawl, she grips her wooden sword and charges straight in. She weaves through the dark energy blasts like an absolute pro. The spiky-haired dude just smirks. He reads her obvious movements like an open book and lands a brutal, heavy strike right to her chest. Up in the stands, the ponytail guy is sweating bullets over the massive hit. But our sect leader just smiles, knowing his disciple is built different. Down in the dirt, our girl is gasping for air and struggling to hold her weapon. The purple dude gloats that he actually had high hopes for her, but it looks like this is the end of the line. Our girl refuses to stay down. She forces herself back onto her feet and readies her dual wooden swords for round 2. The illusion sword guy thinks she is running on fumes and charges in for the easy finish. But that is exactly what she wanted. She lunges forward with insane speed and completely weaves through his attack. The guy is absolutely flabbergasted as she closes the gap and declares that playtime is officially over. She unleashes her master's signature Azure arts and brings the hammer down right on his smug face. The dude gets sent flying across the arena. Up in the stands, our boy Young is hyping her up while the boss just smiles like a proud dad. Of course, the White Sword sect cannot handle taking an L from a teenage girl. One of their lackeys starts throwing a massive tantrum and accusing her of cheating by playing possum. But his whining gets cut short when a terrifying aura creeps up right behind him. The lackey nearly wets himself as his own sect leader steps into the light. The boss man glares daggers at his pathetic subordinate before swallowing his pride and officially accepting the defeat on behalf of the White Sword sect. The crowd goes wild as the White Sword disciple takes the L. Our girl waves to her master, absolutely beaming after securing the bag. The squad is hyped and our boy promises a celebratory dinner on Young's dime. But over in the loser's corner, the big guy is sweating bullets. His scumbag sect leader creeps up from behind with a brand new villainous plot. Defeating the girl is not enough for his bruised ego. He orders the big guy to tell their top fighter to shatter all her limbs and cripple her for life. When the big guy hesitates to play dirty, he catches a brutal backhand to the face. The old man screams that if he lacks talent, he better at least follow orders, delivering another vicious slap just to drive the point home. But before he can wind up for a third strike, a voice casually interrupts the abuse. The mustache man freezes in pure shock as our protagonist leans in with a cocky smirk, calling out the trash leader for his toxic teaching methods. Our boy steps right up to the White Sword sect leader and calls him out for abusing his own disciple. The mustache villain glares right back and tells him to mind his own business since he only came here to talk. But our sect leader is already cooking up a scheme. He casually drops a bomb and offers to just take the bruised giant off his hands. The big guy points at himself like he just won the worst lottery ever while our boy just flashes that signature smug grin. Mustache Man immediately loses his mind. He accuses his disciple of being a traitor who refused his orders because he was already buddying up with the enemy. He flashes a totally unhinged glare before pulling the poor guy close like a literal hostage. Off to the side, his disciple is literally shivering from the awkward tension, wondering what her master is doing. Our boy decides to double down and proposes a high-stakes wager. Whichever sect wins the duel gets to steal one disciple from the loser. He claims he is only doing this out of pity so his girl can have a junior. The White Sword leader mutters about him being an arrogant brat, but his massive ego will not let him back down. He accepts the bet. Our boy immediately grabs his future prize by the collar and flashes a maniacal smile that absolutely terrifies the big guy. The bruised disciple is absolutely flabbergasted by this sudden trade offer. Meanwhile, our boy Woon just strolls away from the scene like he owns the place, leaving the White Sword goons sweating bullets. Back with his own crew, Woon gives his disciple a reassuring pat on the shoulder. He tells her not to stress and just give it her best shot. She knows the odds are tough, but with her master hyping her up, she gets totally fired up and ready to throw down. On the other side of the arena, the rival sect leader is not playing around. He orders his top fighter to win at all costs and absolutely crush her. The edgy swordsman confidently agrees. Walking out with his bruised junior, he completely dismisses our girl's previous wins as pure beginner's luck. He is fully locked in and ready to shatter some dreams. The referee finally calls the contestants to the center stage for the grand finale. The edgy swordsman drops into his stance with a malicious grin, fully expecting an easy clap. But our girl just smiles right back, gripping her wooden staff and looking completely unbothered. The dark-haired fighter expects our girl to dodge since she is just a beginner. But Siwa charges straight in with a swirling aura and goes for a head-on clash. Their wooden weapons collide with a massive shockwave and the guy is instantly sweating. He realizes her inner energy is way stronger than he thought. Everyone assumes she lacks stamina, but thanks to her extreme yin constitution, she naturally hoards inner energy like a battery. She unleashes a relentless barrage of strikes and forces him entirely on the defensive. Knowing she only gets one good opening, she leaps high into the air for a massive downward strike. The guy barely manages to block the heavy impact, but he quickly recovers and lands a brutal counterpunch that sends our girl skidding across the arena floor. She clutches her bruised arm as her opponent mocks her above-average energy. He reminds her she is still just a rookie before lunging forward with a menacing open palm strike. The blow connects hard and sends Siowa flying backward through the air. Our girl swings her wooden sword with everything she has. She refuses to go down without a fight, but the skill gap is real. The dark-haired brute lands a heavy blow that sends her skidding across the arena. Just as things look grim, the system chimes in. Her sense of responsibility finally activates. The system confirms her diligence and the sheer adversity she is facing right now. It fuses all three traits together into a brand new disposition. Her eyes widen as the unique trait Clear Mind manifests. Now, whenever she is in an extreme situation, her reasoning and judgment get a massive buff. She immediately snaps into focus. With a fierce battle cry, she launches a swift counterattack. But her opponent is not playing around anymore. He swings a massive wooden board right at her and forces her on the defensive. He then channels a sinister dark energy and stands ready to end the match. Our girl can only watch in shock as he prepares his ultimate move. His eyes glow with a terrifying red light as he raises his weapon high. Siwa braces herself for the impact. The brute leaps into the air and brings his sword down with a devastating dark energy-infused strike that threatens to crush her completely. The hot-headed contract guy screams her name as the massive blade comes crashing down, but our girl does not even flinch. She just stares death in the face and trusts the process. The crowd is absolutely stunned. Even the big-shot merchant guildmaster up in the VIP box is leaning in for a closer look. She channels all that frosty yin energy right into her palms. She busts out the third technique of her master's Azure arts and lands a clean, devastating hit. But the recoil is too much for her beginner body and she immediately faceplants. Her hot-headed buddy instantly jumps the ring to throw hands with the ref, ready to defend her at all costs. He does not need to bother though. The big bad white sword bully hits the deck like a sack of potatoes. He is completely out cold. The announcer officially calls it. Our girl just swept the tournament. She celebrates her massive W with her master, who is looking like a proud dad right now. Meanwhile, the White Sword Sect leader is popping a blood vessel. His entire squad just got clowned by a literal seamstress and he is not taking it well. Down on the mat but riding a massive high, our girl looks up at her master and proudly declares she kept her promise. And honestly, our boy couldn't be prouder. He hits her with that warm dad smile because she just clutched a 1 versus 1 against a literal tank. The referee steps up to give credit where it is due, officially crowning her the champion of the White Sword Martial Contest. Our boy hoists her arm into the sky, and she is absolutely glowing, soaking up the cheers from a crowd that totally counted her out 10 minutes ago. But our guy isn't just here for a trophy. He grabs the mic and shamelessly uses the enemy's stage to plug his own brand, announcing that the Righteous Heavens Sect will be holding its official establishment ceremony in exactly 1 month. The crowd immediately starts buzzing, realizing this brand new startup just completely embarrassed the local heavyweights. Down in the VIP seats, the White Sword Sect leader is absolutely mauling. He realizes our boy just used his entire expensive tournament as a free marketing campaign. He completely loses his cool and lunges forward with his claw weapon ready to commit a felony on live television. But his strike gets intercepted mid-air. Turns out the big guy Wang Pal stepped in to tell his boss to chill out and maintain some dignity. Big mistake. The toxic boss immediately pivots his aggro, charging up a purple aura strike and screaming that traitors get the instant execution package. The poor guy braces for impact, realizing his 2 weeks' notice was just violently rejected. Our boy steps right in to block the execution strike. He glares down the White Sword Sect leader and demands to know what the hell he thinks he is doing to his brand new disciple. The big guy is absolutely stunned that someone is actually sticking up for him. Our sect leader locks onto the old man's wrist with a grip like a vice and offers to settle any lingering saltiness right here and now. The sore loser tries to pull away, but he is completely overpowered. Realizing he is outmatched, he snatches his hand back and tells them to just take the trash and go. He storms off throwing a massive tantrum, but you can practically see the villainous red aura radiating off him. He is definitely going to be plotting some petty revenge after taking an L this massive in front of the whole crowd. The big guy is still shaking in his boots and admits he is worried he does not have the talent to actually start over. But our protagonist just claps a hand on his shoulder and tells him he is already a fine martial artist and promises to prove it to the world. The rest of the White Sword Squad toss out some parting insults as they leave, calling him a half-witted idiot who is only good for his size. But honestly, those words do not even hurt anymore, because our guy is just overwhelmed with tears of joy that someone finally believes in him. The big guy is literally moved to tears. After years of being treated like absolute garbage by his old boss, he finally has a real master. He clenches his fist and swears to give this new sect everything he has. The announcer officially wraps up the tournament. Our boy and his crew head back to their newly established headquarters to get right to work. But the work is literally just standing in a horse stance all day. The big guy is already bored out of his mind. Suddenly, his tiny new senior sister slaps him on the back. She proudly reminds him that their master is all about mastering the absolute basics first. It is pretty hilarious considering she has exactly 2 months of martial arts experience under her belt while he has been grinding for 8 years. He just laughs it off and takes the advice in stride. The system pulls up his official stats showing off a top-tier physique and a crazy talent for understanding fundamentals. He smiles knowing he is about to be put through the ringer. Sure, his energy sensing is basically non-existent and he accumulates inner energy at a snail pace, but he has some solid locked traits like devotion and self-control just waiting to be awakened. Watching from the sidelines, the contract guy nods in approval. Seeing the big guy effortlessly bench press both kids at once confirms his suspicions. The dude has an insane capacity for maintaining focus and the raw stamina to back it up. The ponytail guy checks in on the grand opening prep for their new startup Sect. The nervous deed seller, who is apparently their PR guy now, happily reports that their recent tournament stunt is paying off big time with a flood of RSVPs. But then he drops a massive bomb. They got a letter from the Marine Alliance. Our boy snatches the scroll and his eyes widen as he reads the contents. The scroll literally bursts into flames in his hand. It is a formal plagiarism review from his estranged family, the Backley clan. Our boy is absolutely livid. Just when his business was gaining traction, his toxic relatives decide to pull a fast one. He spent 15 grueling years sweating it out and developing his own unique martial arts from scratch, completely separate from his clan's techniques. But if the Marine Alliance inspector is in the Backley clan's pocket, he is totally screwed. He imagines himself drowning in a void of lost profits, barred from teaching his own moves and owing a massive compensation fee. The thought of losing all his hard-earned cash sends him spiraling into a dramatic slump. The ponytail guy and the PR dude just stare at their supposedly badass leader having a total meltdown. Our boy quickly realizes that if he fails this, the next review will be even worse, and his family is definitely going to crash his grand opening. Our boy is deep in the trenches of a panic attack trying to figure out how to dodge this plagiarism lawsuit. He needs to study other Sect's basic arts to prove his innocence but has zero clue where to find them. Right on cue, a frantic disciple bursts through the door screaming about unexpected visitors. Woon steps outside to find a massive dude lugging a buster sword and a girl rocking space buns chilling in his courtyard. He asks who they are and they drop their gamer tags. It is Chung-ha from the Wudong Sect and Namgung Wu from the Namgung clan, basically his old Heavenly Squad subordinates from his Marine Alliance days. Woon immediately perks up. A wicked grin spreads across his face as he realizes these two just hand-delivered the exact loophole he needs. Having elite disciples from major clans right on his doorstep could completely flip this whole plagiarism disaster upside down. Meanwhile, over at the Yellow Dragon Hall, the old merchant master is having his own crisis. He is sweating bullets over the Backley clan drama, knowing the Marine Alliance will definitely back them up. He realizes this new trial is on a completely different level than dealing with those white sword thugs. But the old man did not build a massive merchant empire by being a coward. He grabs his calligraphy brush and decides to match their freak. If the Backley clan wants to flex their Marine Alliance connections, he is just going to up the stakes and drag the unorthodox alliance into the chat. He flashes a nervous but totally unhinged smile, ready to watch the world burn. Back at the Backley clan estate, the Outer Hall leader is throwing an absolute fit. He is furious that someone launched a whole plagiarism investigation into a sect that has not even opened its doors yet. He argues with the patriarch about the clan's future, pointing out that the first son is basically useless and the talented daughter is well a girl. The patriarch just casually sips his tea, completely unbothered by the rant. But the Outer Hall leader is not letting this go. He demands to know why they ever let our boy walk away when he was clearly the most brilliant kid in the family. He insists they need to drag him back and remind him of his place. Backed by a whole squad of angry clan members, the guy demands they force our boy to remember his roots. The patriarch finally slams his cup down and agrees, but spins it as a parenting moment. He claims adversity is necessary for growth and that our boy needs to learn how to protect his own turf. Basically, he wants to teach him a harsh lesson that no matter how far he runs, he is still under the Backley clan's thumb. The Outer Hall leader eats this up, looking ready to cause some serious problems. Meanwhile, over at the newly minted Righteous Heaven Sect, the sky is blue and the vibes are about to be ruined. The Marine Alliance inspection team rolls up looking like they mean business. The vice strategist is leading the charge alongside the Outer Hall leader. The strategist questions why the clan is so obsessed with a guy who is just family by blood, but the clan leader quickly corrects him. Our boy is not just family, he is a once-in-a-generation menace. The Marine Alliance guys are still obsessing over our boy. The suit guy notes that even though Woon ditched the clan, he was destined to be the greatest sword master of his generation. They pull up to the packed entrance of the Righteous Heaven Sect, wondering how he is going to handle the clan's little summons. Inside, the hype is real. The gates open and the drums start banging as Woon steps up to the balcony. The system even hits him with a chill pill warning because his heart rate is spiking. But our boy just smirks and decides it is time to quiet things down. He grabs a massive polearm and launches himself into the sky. He comes crashing down like a meteor and unleashes a massive shockwave that blasts the entire crowd back. Even the Marine Alliance guys have to brace themselves against the sheer flex. The dust settles and Woon is just standing there looking majestic with his new sect flag. He formally introduces himself to the stunned crowd as Bakley Woon, the leader of the Righteous Heaven sect. Our boy stands dead center in the ring holding his new sect's flag. He tells the massive crowd that before they kick off the inauguration party, there is a tiny little elephant in the room they need to address. With a massive shout, he announces to everyone who hasn't heard the gossip that his brand new Righteous Heaven sect is officially being accused of plagiarizing the Bakley clan's martial arts. The crowd immediately loses their minds. Half of them are facepalming and wondering why he is airing out his own dirty laundry at his grand opening. The murmurs spread like wildfire as people assume he is just straight up confessing to the crime. Even the shady dudes in the audience are eating this drama up. Meanwhile, the Bakley clan's inspection team is standing by looking smug. The mustache guy assumes our boy is just waving a white flag and surrendering to make things easy. But Woon just stands there with a cocky smirk on his face. He knows exactly what he is doing. He completely flips the script and calls out the Marine Alliance inspection team hiding in the crowd, demanding they step forward. The onlookers are totally shocked that the Alliance is crashing the party. The mustache guy finally steps out of the peanut gallery, and the crowd instantly recognizes him as the legendary Moon Sword from the Bakley clan. Woon welcomes him to the stage with open arms and a massive grin. Instead of backing down, our boy challenges the inspector to state his business and demands they do a live public plagiarism review right here in front of everyone. The peanut gallery immediately starts throwing a fit. One bearded extra screams that results are only supposed to be public after a consensus is reached. But an elder claps back, reminding everyone that this isn't just a Bakley clan witch hunt. Our boy Woon smirks, knowing that with all these mid-tier sects watching like hawks, the Marine Alliance can't afford to look biased. The stage is perfectly set for his little show. Without missing a beat, Woon leaps right into the center ring and starts styling on them. He unleashes the first technique of his Azure art, swinging his blade with enough force to send shockwaves through the courtyard. The old Bakley Boomer watches closely, trying to analyze the form and figure out exactly which of their precious clan techniques Woon supposedly ripped off. Woon finishes the flashy combo and casually sheathes his sword, looking back at his accusers with a smug grin. He locks eyes with the old man and drops an absolute nuke. Woon casually announces that 23 of his sect's basic martial arts have indeed been confirmed as plagiarized, but from various different sects. The Bakley Boomer literally stumbles backward in shock, stammering that this is completely absurd. He tries to argue that there are no representatives from those other sects here to even validate a wild claim like that. But right on cue, a hand shoots up from the back of the crowd, and a familiar voice calls out to announce their arrival. Right on cue, the crowd parts for the Namgoon clan's Little Demon and the Wudong sect's Little Moon. The Bakley elder demands to know why these heavy hitters are crashing the party. The duo casually claims they were just in the neighborhood for a mission and decided to drop by for the grand opening. But they are not just here for the free buffet. The Namgoon rep steps up, pointing out that their own clan's foundational martial arts also rely heavily on the exact same principles of heaven, earth, and man. To really drive the nail into the coffin, the Wudong girl hands the elder a wooden box packed to the brim with official letters. She flashes a totally unhinged smile, dropping the ultimate logic bomb. If our boy's basic techniques are considered plagiarism just because they use universal concepts, then the Bakley clan is basically accusing every major sect in the alliance of stealing their flow. The elder reads the documents and absolutely loses his mind. He throws the papers to the dirt, screaming that this has to be a rigged review. But the receipts do not lie. The letters are officially signed by the Heavenly Squad captain herself, confirming that the Bakley clan's own arts share the exact same overlaps they are crying about. Our boy just stands there flashing the smuggest grin imaginable while the Bakley elder practically pops a blood vessel, growling his name like a defeated cartoon villain. Checkmate, old man. The old man is absolutely flabbergasted. He realizes our boy actually hand-wrote letters to every single sect just to verify his moves. The new sect leader just hits him with the smuggest grin imaginable, knowing he completely outplayed his own clan. But his uncle is not taking the L gracefully. He grips his massive buster sword and completely loses his cool. He lunges forward with a heavy overhead strike, trying to cleave his nephew in half, but our guy casually blocks it. His disciples immediately panic and try to jump in to help. The boss barks at them to stay back. He tells them this is strictly personal beef and he needs to handle it himself. The old man presses down on his blade and starts screaming about how our boy is the true blood of the Bakley clan. He calls him the future pillar meant to lead them forward and demands to know if he is still holding on to the past. They clash blades with enough force to shatter the courtyard. Then the uncle crosses a massive line. He asks if the kid still resents the clan because they could not protect his mother. Big mistake. Our guy glares back and his eyes instantly glow with a terrifying blue energy. He is about to show this boomer exactly why he left. Woon unleashes a massive blue energy wave that sends his uncle skidding across the courtyard. The older man tries to push back, but the sheer force is just too much. He drops to his knees, admitting he can't deny his own bloodline. Woon casually sheathes his sword right behind him, dropping some cold, hard facts. He's not the angry kid who ran away anymore. He's a sect leader now. They stand off on the yin-yang symbol as Woon makes it clear he's ready for whatever the clan throws at him. His uncle is left completely speechless by the sheer aura our boy is radiating. We get a quick flashback to a younger Woon finally blocking one of his uncle's heavy strikes during training, looking absolutely hyped about it. Back in the present, the uncle is still on his knees. Woon drops down to his level, declaring loud and clear that his sex martial arts are entirely his own creation. Our boy just drops the mic with those confirmation letters and smiles like he owns the place. His uncle is absolutely fuming. The old man grits his teeth and draws his massive buster sword right in the middle of the courtyard. He is not taking this public humiliation well at all. Woon just kneels there looking completely unbothered while his uncle glares daggers at him. The crowd absolutely loses their minds cheering for our boy. He stands up and soaks in the glory of completely outplaying his own clan. Down in the crowd, that hooded unorthodox alliance leader is grinning from ear to ear. The blonde merchant girl next to him tells the old-timer to keep it down. The hooded guy chuckles and decides he has seen enough for one day. He literally turns into a cloud of black smoke and dips out of the arena. The blonde girl just watches our boy closely, knowing she just secured the ultimate trading partner. Woon celebrates his massive win with his newly formed squad. They are practically glowing with hype, but fast forward 3 days later to the newly established Righteous Heavens sect, and reality hits them like a truck. The seamstress girl looks absolutely devastated. The big guy is just sweeping the empty courtyard while the ponytail kid is literally having a breakdown on the floor. It has been 3 whole days since their grand opening and they have not gotten a single applicant. 3 days later and our boy is losing his absolute mind. His heart rate is spiking and he snaps his calligraphy brush in half because not a single applicant has shown up to join his brand new sect. His first disciple points out that they literally have 0 reputation, so maybe they should just chill. He suggests sending their newest meathead recruit out to the streets to beg for members, which absolutely terrifies the big guy. But our sect leader has a better idea. He drafts up a quick delivery for the local merchant group, writing out a foolproof method to bait some fresh meat into their ranks. His disciple peeks over the scroll, wondering what kind of scam her master is cooking up this time. Meanwhile, over at the Marine Alliance military department, things are getting spicy. An official reports that the trainees from the minor sects are straight up boycotting their combined training. See, the Alliance splits their rookies into 2 camps. You have the rich kids from the major clans on one side and the scrappy underdogs from the minor sects on the other. Usually the fights between them are pretty even, but the head strategist notes that this current batch of major clan kids is just way too overpowered. The minor sect rookies have been getting absolutely stomped for 3 years straight, and their morale is completely in the gutter. Even their schoolmaster is quietly supporting their little strike. The strategist is stressing out over how to handle this mess. Right on cue, a messenger pigeon drops off a letter. The strategist reads it over and his eyes go wide. He immediately shuts down the boycott, declaring that the training will proceed exactly as planned. Looks like our boy's little delivery just solved their problem. Later that night, out in the nearby forest, one of the martial school disciples wakes up in a cold sweat. Our boy is having some serious daddy issues in his nightmares, haunted by a voice asking how long he plans on being a total disappointment. Needing some fresh air, he heads outside to join his buddy by the campfire. The guy is clearly stressed out of his mind about this whole training camp situation, rubbing his arm like he is about to have a panic attack. His friend tries to hype him up, bragging that if this random sect they got sent to is too shabby, they will just bully the host into respecting them. But right as he tells his buddy to get some sleep, a creepy silhouette spawns in the trees behind them. The boys instantly panic and demand the stalker show himself. Stepping into the firelight is none other than our protagonist, casually introducing himself as the Righteous Heavens sect leader. The disciples immediately draw their swords, but Woon just smirks and holds up a finger. He announces that their entrance exam starts right now, and the rule is simple. If even one of them can manage to step foot past his front gate, they pass. The disciples aren't about to just roll over. One of them charges right at our boy, screaming for the rest of the school to prepare for battle. But our sect leader isn't here to play nice. He unleashes a massive blinding strike before the kid can even blink. The poor guy takes the hit head-on, spitting up his dinner as he drops to his knees in absolute agony. Our boy casually sheathes his blade behind the fallen student. He flashes a downright demonic smirk, his eyes glowing with that signature blue energy, and drops the real condition of this little test. They can pass if they manage to escape him with their lives. Over in Hubei province near Mount Wudong, 3 disciples are trekking through the woods. One of them asks what the name of this random sect is, again, but the bald guy leading the pack brushes it off. He says the location is totally meaningless and the Marine Alliance probably just picked it to balance the books. But the girl trailing behind them has a different agenda. She knows it doesn't matter where they go because she plans on winning anyway. A quick flashback hits her, showing a young girl crying on the floor as her older brother bails on the clan, leaving behind nothing but a red beaded bracelet and some serious childhood trauma. Back in the present, this girl is revealed to be Bakley-san, our protagonist's younger sister, and she is on a mission to find out exactly why her brother abandoned them all those years ago. Suddenly, the peaceful hike turns into a full-blown ambush. Sparks fly as our boy Woon clashes swords with the trainees, easily dodging a spear thrust from another guy leaping into the fray. The spear wielder lands and immediately checks on his buddy who just got absolutely folded. The spear guy introduces himself as Sion Muncheok and demands to know if this crazy dude is the righteous Heaven's Sect leader. Woon just flashes a cocky grin, clearly enjoying the chaos. Muncheok reminds him of the rules, stating that if even one of them manages to reach the Sect's gate, they pass this ridiculous entrance test. The spear wielder asks what happens if they fail this little pop quiz. Our boy doesn't even hesitate. He goes full demon mode and starts raining down heavy strikes. He tells them that failing means they are the weakest of the weak and they will face the ultimate humiliation. The poor guy begs him to wait but gets absolutely blasted back by a massive shockwave. Seeing their buddy get folded like a lawn chair, the rest of the squad decides to jump in. They surround the sect leader and ask if beating him right here counts as passing the entrance exam. Our guy just hits them with a cocky smirk and tells them to bring it on. He praises their decision to jump him, but immediately proves why that was a terrible idea. With one effortless swing, he sends the entire trio flying through the air like bowling pins. He casually mentions that their little ambush might have worked on a regular guy, but they are dealing with the main character. The sword guy is left sweating bullets as our boy stands over the groveling disciples. Our boy effortlessly weaves through the spiky-haired kid's frantic swings. He delivers a swift counter to the gut, noting that for all his loud barking, the kid is way too stiff and predictable. Another disciple tries to jump in for a sneak attack, but the sect leader casually parries the strike. He leaves the kid absolutely flabbergasted as his weapon is swatted away like a cheap toy. Woon keeps his cool as a spear wielder charges into the fray. He quickly clocks that this guy actually has some real combat experience, but it just doesn't matter. Our protagonist effortlessly deflects a coordinated double team and sends the spear guy flying back into the dirt. Woon turns back to the spiky-haired kid and calls him out for hesitating mid-swing. He realizes these three are actually the standouts of the group, but they are still way too green. Deciding they need a little push, Woon facepalms and prepares to talk some serious trash to provoke them. Our boy Woon sighs and runs a hand through his hair. He is straight up disappointed in these kids. The hothead curses under his breath, completely tilted, but the spear guy steps in and puts a calming hand on his shoulder. Spear guy quickly takes charge and whispers a game plan to the third disciple. They need to coordinate if they want to survive this entrance exam. Woon just stands there with his sword resting on his shoulder, letting them cook. Spear guy tells his buddy to wait for the opening and deliver the finishing blow. But Woon is not about to let them buff up in peace. He lunges forward with a massive overhead swing, telling them they are way too slow. Spear guy barely manages to bring his weapon up in time, catching the heavy strike and getting pushed back into the dirt. Seeing their opening, the hothead and the third guy instantly leap into action. They launch a synchronized pincer attack from both sides, hoping to catch our OP sect leader off guard. But Woon just stands there completely unbothered. The two flankers fly right past him as Woon casually sidesteps the entire assault. He smirks and praises their little teamwork exercise as he effortlessly deflects their strikes, leaving the kids absolutely shook. Our boy easily parries their coordinated assault, sending one of the disciples flying across the clearing with a single strike before landing gracefully on his feet. But the kid refuses to stay down and charges right back in. Big mistake. Woon effortlessly counters him mid-air, noting that assuming your opponent will not strike back is just way too optimistic. He delivers a brutal counterattack that absolutely folds the poor guy. The disciple hits the dirt hard, completely battered. Woon stands over him, honestly a little disappointed that these kids do not even have a single spark of martial talent between them. But just as Woon is about to call it a day, the bleeding kid suddenly erupts with a sinister red aura. Woon breaks into a massive grin. He recognizes this technique immediately as an unorthodox martial art and realizes this kid might actually be exactly what he is looking for. Our boy points his blade forward and tells the kid to stop holding back. And surprisingly, the kid actually listens. He leaps into the air and unleashes a massive barrage of blood-red energy slashes that completely catch our sect leader off guard. Feeling his sword literally vibrate from the heavy impact, our guy realizes this edgy teenager actually has some insane hidden talent. The kid is panting heavily and pushing himself to the absolute limit just to pass a basic entrance exam. As our boy stands over the exhausted recruit, his trusty blue system window pops up to let him know his predatory instincts are acting up again. Our sect leader breaks into a manic grin. He does not just want to pass this kid, he wants to keep him. The sect leader is plotting something devious. Meanwhile, our boy wakes up in a strange bed with a massive headache. He assumes he just pushed himself too hard during the entrance exam and passed out. A bald monk walks in to check on him, but the kid's brain finally reboots. He suddenly remembers the exact moment before he blacked out. He totally popped his secret blood arts in front of the examiner and got hit with the most devious smile in return. He starts absolutely tweaking out. If they know he is an unorthodox spy, he is getting executed on the spot. He side-eyes the monk, wondering if the guy knows his secret. He throws on his robes and realizes the sect leader definitely noticed his energy. The guy literally name-dropped his master before knocking him out. So why is he still breathing and not tied to a stake? He steps outside to find the sect leader just chilling in the courtyard. The boss turns around and flashes him that exact same sinister grin. Yeah, this kid is about to get blackmailed into oblivion. The spy is sweating bullets, realizing the sect leader knows his secret. Meanwhile, our boy Woon addresses the surviving candidates. He notes that 5 out of 15 made it through his brutal entrance exam, which is honestly more than he expected. One of the guys looks around and realizes they are the last ones standing. We get a quick look at the surviving roster. There is Oh-ryong, the bald monk, Woon Jin, Seon Mooncheok, and the serious-looking Dan Ryeon. Woon stares them down, ready to lay out the next phase of their hellish training camp. He calls his first disciple over to hand out the training gear. Seowa happily trots over with an armful of wooden weapons. She tosses a spear to Muncheok since that is his main weapon and tells the rest of the squad to grab their gear. She flashes a bright smile and introduces herself as their sparring partner for the foreseeable future. Woon tells them all to play nice and introduce themselves. The big guy Wang Pal steps up, looking incredibly nervous for a dude his size, and stutters out a quick hello while Seowa just beams at her new punching bags. The visiting students want to skip the boring introductions and get straight to the sparring. Our girl Seowa is totally down for that. She casually suggests they just make it a 5-on-2 handicap match to save time. The 5 candidates are absolutely stunned by the sheer disrespect. Wang Pal just smiles and agrees to the crazy terms. Meanwhile, our boy Woon is literally crying tears of joy at how arrogant his first disciple is acting. They really do grow up so fast. The lead candidate Muncheok is not having it. He gets his squad into formation and declares that even if they are on a massive losing streak, they absolutely refuse to lose to some random no-name sect. He lunges forward with his wooden spear and tells his team to wrap this up fast. He swings hard, but Seowa easily parries the strike. Muncheok immediately spins his weapon for a heavy follow-up attack and brings it crashing down on her guard. The spiky-haired guy thinks he has the upper hand, but our girl just grabs his staff barehanded. Suddenly the system chimes in, letting us know her unique trait, Clear Mind, has just been activated. The dude completely panics as his weapon starts freezing over. She flashes him a cute smile and tells him to brace himself because this is going to sting. Then she absolutely nukes him with a massive blast of icy blue energy, sending him flying across the courtyard. His teammates watch in absolute horror as their boy gets folded like a lawn chair. Our girl is fully glowing now and casually invites the rest of the squad to jump her all at once. The bald monk guy takes that personally and rushes in screaming his actual name. He throws a heavy punch that she barely blocks. But instead of trash-talking, he actually compliments her defensive stance. Our girl gets totally flustered by the sudden praise and blushes. But the monk is not done yet. He charges up his palms with energy and dives back in for a follow-up strike. She braces for impact, but suddenly her big brawler teammate steps right in front of her. He catches the monk's glowing fists with his bare hands like it is absolutely nothing, leaving the bald guy completely stunned. The big guy steps up to the plate, catching the bald monk's fist mid-swing to protect his junior. But the other candidates aren't just going to stand there and watch. A staff wraps tight around his arm as 2 more fighters leap into the mix. The sword wielder steps up, declaring that playtime is officially over and they are going all out. But our absolute unit of a tank just eats the coordinated assault. He blocks every single strike they throw at him, leaving the attackers completely frustrated that they are struggling against a literal no-name sect. Even a staff strike crackling with red energy gets swatted away like a minor inconvenience. The blue-haired girl watches in shock as one of the attackers suddenly gets yanked through the air screaming. Turns out the big guy has a few tricks up his sleeve, whipping out a rope to lasso his opponent and absolutely yeet him across the courtyard. With the rest of the squad eating dirt, she casually looks down at the last man standing, letting him know he is completely out of backup. The big guy in blue finishes tossing the remaining challengers around like ragdolls, declaring the match officially over. Our blue-haired prodigy holds up a hand, asking the last man standing if he really wants the smoke. Sweating bullets, he quickly realizes he is completely outmatched. With all 5 of the martial school disciples eating dirt, our sect leader flashes a smug grin. He is practically glowing with pride, especially since his star pupil has only been training for a single month. She hits them with a cheeky wink, leaving the defeated squad absolutely flabbergasted at how a kid her age has a mana pool deeper than the ocean. Stepping up to the plate, our boy drops some much-needed wisdom on the bruised squad. He tells them they need to start researching coordinated techniques if they ever want to stop taking L's against their rivals. He reaches out, explaining that trusting their teammates is the ultimate cheat code to building unshakable confidence and boosting their individual strength. Wrapping up the lesson, he tells the battered students to go get some rest. They bow in unison, totally eating out of the palm of his hand. But just as they turn to leave, our sect leader glances over his shoulder and calls out for Wugang to stay behind. The kid freezes up, instantly sweating as he wonders if his cover is finally blown. As the rest of the bruised-up students hobble away trading compliments, our boy holds the undercover spy back for a little one-on-one chat. He casually pops a digital sound barrier using his system interface. The spy is sweating bullets wondering what is going on, but our sect leader just hits him with that knowing smirk. Then he drops the absolute hammer. Woon flares up his blue aura and demands to know exactly why the young leader of the Blood Sword sect is currently playing dress-up in a rival school. With his eyes glowing like a literal demon, Woon gives him a brutal ultimatum. The kid better start yapping with a proper explanation right now, or he is going to find out exactly what happens when you try to scam a system player. Our boy Woon stands over his defeated opponent like an absolute menace. The undercover spy is literally shaking in his boots. He grips his sword and desperately debates making a run for it. But before he can even twitch a muscle, Woon slams a bolt of blue lightning right into the dirt. Yeah, running is definitely off the table. The kid is sweating bullets wondering how he ended up in this mess. Turns out his trauma goes way back. We get a flashback to a younger, bloodied version of our spy getting absolutely chewed out by his massive father. Big Beard over here is furious that his son only broke an opponent's arm instead of permanently crippling them. He screams at the kid to get up, reminding him that as the heir to the Blood Sword sect, he needs to be feared by everyone on the unorthodox path. The kid is just sitting there completely stunned by the psycho parenting. And Father of the Year isn't done yet. He orders his son to infiltrate the enemy lines as a traitor and stab his own senior sister in the back. He declares that showing zero compassion is the only way to survive their brutal lifestyle. When the kid hesitates, the old man drops a sick ultimatum. He tells him not to even think about running away or offing himself, because if he does, he will personally hunt down and murder the girl anyway. To really drive the point home, he slams his massive sword into the ground right in front of his terrified son. Talk about a toxic household. The undercover spy grits his teeth. He figures if he can just get out of his psychotic master's line of sight, he can finally make a run for it. But before he can even formulate an escape plan, he gets completely blindsided. Forced to defend himself, the kid charges forward with his blood-red aura flaring. He screams at our boy, demanding to know what he actually plans to do with him. But the sect leader just smiles and tells the kid to stop holding back. He orders him to unleash his true strength using the orthodox martial arts he is supposed to be learning. The two clash in a massive explosion of energy, and the spy immediately realizes he is completely outmatched. Every single strike from the white-clad warrior carries an insane amount of pressure. The kid swings his blade with everything he has left, but his sloppy, unorthodox techniques are just not cutting it against a real master. Our boy just smirks at the desperate effort. He easily parries the heavy attack and delivers a brutal counterstrike that sends the young spy flying across the dirt. The edgy kid's mind flashes back to his abusive dad screaming about the ruthless, unorthodox path. Snapping back to reality, he screams at our boy that he doesn't know a damn thing about his struggle. He charges in swinging wild, but our sect leader easily parries the desperate strikes. Our boy responds with a swift punch straight to the jaw. He stands over the stumbling kid looking completely unimpressed, but the edgy spy refuses to stay down and just keeps screaming his lungs out. Our sect leader charges up his blade with crackling blue lightning and asks the kid why he even bothers wielding a sword. The spy crouches low and channels all his edgy angst into his weapon, making it erupt with a sinister blood-red aura. The two warriors violently clash in a massive explosion of blue lightning and red blood energy. The sheer force of the impact kicks up a massive dust cloud. As the smoke clears, the spy is left barely standing. His legs finally give out and he collapses to his knees, completely exhausted as he prepares to spill his tragic backstory. The kid drops to his knees and spills his guts. He actually has a reason to get stronger. His dad wasn't some legendary fighter, but he was a man of honor who stood his ground when everyone else ran. Seeing his old man turned into a human pincushion filled him with rage, but he knew throwing a tantrum would just get him killed too. So he bottled it up and obsessed over power. He fully embraced the edgy lifestyle, becoming the feared young sect leader of the Blood Sword sect and leaving a literal mountain of skulls in his wake. Back in the present, our boy Woon just stares down at the broken kid. Woogang screams that he just wanted to prove his dad wasn't a coward who died for nothing. He wanted to protect that happy memory, but somewhere along the bloody path, he completely lost the plot. He bows his head in total defeat, begging Woon to just hand him over to the Marine Alliance and spare the other disciples since he infiltrated this place solo. Woon crouches down, taking in the kid's tragic backstory, and responds by just smiling and flicking him right in the forehead. Instead of turning the kid in, our boy just gives him a fat flick to the forehead. The kid screams in pain, but our sect leader just smiles. He says the kid reminds him of a boy he once knew who was blinded by vengeance. He casually drops the lore that he left the Bakley clan to join the Marion Martial School. The kid is absolutely stunned. Our guy explains that he had to completely tear down his own foundation to avoid relying on his clan's techniques, and now he is offering to help the kid do the exact same thing. Internally, our boy is just drooling over the idea of poaching a direct disciple from one of the top 7 sects. He warns the kid that for the next 15 days he is going to tear apart every single technique he knows. It is going to be pure agony, and he asks if the kid still has the guts to follow him. The kid asks if he will actually get stronger, and our boy just hits him with that confident smirk. Meanwhile, over at the heart of the Marine Alliance, the top brass are watching their own exceptional disciples train. The squad captains are already fighting over who gets to recruit these kids. Up on the balcony, Sword Saint Ouija Hawk, one of the absolute peaks of the Orthodox Marine, is discussing a massive wager. Turns out the leader of the Unorthodox Alliance bet on the Murion Martial School winning the upcoming competition. If the unorthodox side loses, they promise to halt all their aggressive expansion for an entire year. It is an offer the Orthodox side literally cannot refuse, giving them much-needed time to reorganize. Ouija Hawk narrows his eyes, knowing they absolutely cannot afford to take an L in this tournament. Meanwhile, the Marine Alliance is pulling out the big guns for the upcoming tournament. They bring in this absolute unit with the majestic white hair. He is the top talent of the Wudong Sect and a legendary graduate of the Mujion Martial School. As he struts past his Boeing fan club, he smirks. Hearing the names Bakley Woon and Murion Martial School brings back some serious memories for the guy. It looks like our boy's past is finally catching up to him. Night falls on the Righteous Heavens Sect, and our girl is absolutely fighting for her life on the pavement. She is completely drained from the daily 5 versus 5 sparring sessions and questioning her life choices. But speak of the devil and he shall appear. The boss man casually strolls up behind her like a horror movie villain. He knows exactly how to motivate his exhausted workforce. He dangles the ultimate carrot in front of them. If they can secure 8 wins out of 15 against the visiting trainees, he will take them to a legendary blacksmith for some shiny new custom weapons. Suddenly, the fatigue leaves her body and she is fully locked in. The visiting trainees immediately feel the shift in the atmosphere. Our girl is out here countering moves she just saw yesterday with absolute ease, leaving her opponent completely flabbergasted. Meanwhile, the big guy is swinging with the energy of a man who just drank 3 energy drinks. The spearman is totally confused by this sudden burst of motivation. He just laughs it off, but the real comedy is happening right behind them. Our boy is giving the former spy some highly specialized VIP training, and by VIP training I mean he has him literally tied to a giant boulder and is screaming at him for moving. To make sure the kid stays put, he slaps a special talisman right onto the rock. This activates a binding rope that blasts the poor guy with a lethal dose of electricity the second he tries to use his old unorthodox energy. It is basically a shock collar for martial artists. The boss stands over his smoking student with the smudgest grin imaginable. He is determined to literally shock the bad habits out of him until his foundation is a completely blank slate. The spearman is getting absolutely cooked by our girl Seohwa. Woon just pats his tied-up hostage on the head and tells him to watch closely. He wants to show off exactly how much his disciples have leveled up. Seohwa is a menace in close quarters. Every time the spearman tries to pull back for some breathing room, she is right back in his face. But the guy actually adapts and throws a desperate kick to create some space. The tied-up kid is completely shook. He knows this spearman usually only relies on basic thrusts. Woon points out that these guys are evolving in real time. Watching his peers get massive gains while he is literally tied to a rock is giving the kid some serious FOMO. The system even chimes in to announce the spearman just unlocked the body spear unity state. He starts moving in perfect sync with his weapon and launches a massive strike. That is the final straw for our bound boy. He starts screaming at Woon to untie the damn rope so he can get in on the action, but Woon just stares him down with that cold master look. Our boy Woon drops some harsh truth on the tied-up kid. Since his body is already hardwired with those trash unorthodox habits, he can't just punch them away. He asks the kid why he thinks he is strapped to a giant rock like a human backpack. The kid finally puts 2 and 2 together. If he can't move his body to fix his form, he has to rewire his inner energy instead. All while the rest of the class gets to actually spar in the background. He decides to just brute force it, aiming to rip open a brand new meridian and shove all his energy right through it. But the system immediately starts flashing red flags. His inner energy goes completely turbulent and starts backflowing. Woon starts screaming at him not to get ahead of himself. The other disciples watch in absolute horror as the kid violently coughs up a lungful of tainted black blood. Woon barks at the others to stay back since this is a solo raid he has to clear himself. Despite literally coughing up his own HP, the kid refuses to tap out. He refuses to go back to his garbage past under his abusive dad. He doubles down, forcing the tainted energy out to purify his core. The system chimes in with the massive W, announcing he successfully triggered the microcosmic orbit. The kid lets out one last agonizing scream as he purges the bad vibes and finally slumps against the boulder, completely gassed but officially a blank slate. Our boy Wugang finally pushes through the agonizing meridian cleanse. He gets absolutely launched into the stratosphere while strapped to a giant boulder, but somehow survives the landing. He collapses to the dirt, coughing up his lungs as the sect leader steps in to congratulate him. Woon confirms the kid has successfully purged all that toxic, unorthodox energy and is officially a blank slate. Wugang flashes a cocky smirk and demands to be trained so he does not fall behind the others. Woon happily agrees and tells him to fill that empty canvas with a sword path that belongs entirely to him. Meanwhile, the rest of the disciples are just having the time of their lives roughhousing in the background. But the good vibes do not last long. Out in the dark woods, Woon's younger sister San and her bald companion stumble upon a literal nightmare. They find a corpse strung up upside down with a horrific Joker grin carved into its face. The bald guy notes noose neck marks and the drained blood, confirming this is exactly the target they were tracking. San crouches down to inspect another body on the ground, realizing this killer just slaughters anything with a pulse. Her partner checks out some massive claw marks on a nearby tree trunk. He rules out the demonic cult because the work is way too sloppy, leaving only one logical conclusion. They are hunting a literal demon. A terrifying shadowy entity briefly looms right behind San, but she does not even flinch. She stands up with absolute resolve and orders her partner to keep tracking the beast before it claims any more victims. The bald dude flashes a sinister grin. He knows orders are orders, but tracking a demon usually ends up with someone in a body bag. He rubs his chin, decides it is time to invest in some premium life insurance. He carves a quick XOS into a tree trunk. If he goes MIA for more than a month, someone needs to hit up the Righteous Heaven Sect leader. Miles away, our boy suddenly gets a shiver down his spine. He has a really bad feeling about this. Our boy gathers his newly minted disciples at the gate to give them a little pep talk. He tells the squad they have worked hard over the past 2 weeks and should be proud of their progress. The crew is absolutely beaming, soaking up the rare praise from their usually strict master. But then he hits them with the punchline. He expects them to handle the second phase of training just as well, which is to literally kill each other. Meanwhile, our guy receives a disturbing report from the Marine Alliance 2nd Strategy Corps. Missing persons cases are spiking around Hunan, with victims found completely drained of blood. As he reads the gruesome details, a creepy demonic face flashes in his mind. It sounds exactly like the work of a serial killer, or worse, a literal demon. He breathes a sigh of relief, knowing his top students are safe and sound, grinding away at their own training. But the report triggers some seriously bad memories of a certain purple aura demon from his past, making him lock in. Just as he is about to ask his advisor about the Muryan Martial School, a bald monk literally crashes through the wall. The guy is aggressively chasing down a green-robed martial artist, sending debris flying everywhere. Our boy casually sidesteps the destruction, leaving the poor green-robed dude buried under a broken door and complaining that his leader dodged without a single ounce of concern for his safety. The bald monk immediately grabs the green-robed guy by the collar, screaming at him for acting like a total clown in front of a guest. Our boy just watches his new chaotic students brawl, wondering how he ended up babysitting. They bring up the guy teaching the rival school, a legendary Taiji warrior who casually flexes massive green sword energy. But our boy isn't sweating it. He knows typical geniuses who learn everything instantly usually make absolute garbage teachers. The green-robed guy asks if he is going to be okay against a monster like that. Our boy just flashes a cocky grin and asks if he ever actually lost to the guy back in the day. Spoiler alert, he definitely did not. The bald monk connects the dots and asks if he used to go by the title White Sword. Our boy casually confirms it, acting like he just mentioned the weather. The two students are absolutely thunderstruck. They instantly switch up, pledging their undying loyalty to the legendary senior martial artist and declaring him the greatest sect leader ever. The whole squad stands there looking way too proud of themselves. Our boy immediately shatters the wholesome moment, screaming at the brats to shut up and listen while they instantly go right back to throwing hands in the background. The green-robed guy stares at his hands, realizing his brutal training wounds are healing insanely fast. Our boy checks his glowing blue system screen, knowing it is all thanks to the temporary enrollment buff he slapped on them. He tells the squad to pack their bags because they are heading out on a field trip to the lake. The disciples absolutely lose their minds, cheering for their boss like he just announced a pizza party. The blonde merchant girl is a little taken aback when the female disciple instantly declares her a bestie just for buying the next round. She brushes off the casual tone and smoothly pivots the conversation to our boy, asking if the sect leader ever mentioned her. The table goes dead silent. The dark-haired guy bluntly points out that their boss probably forgot she even exists. The bald monk immediately puts him in a chokehold and begs him to read the room while the blonde just laughs it off. The monk quickly covers for his boss, claiming the sect leader is just super stressed about the upcoming tournament wager. The blonde realizes they're completely out of the loop. She drops the bomb that the leaders of the orthodox and unorthodox factions literally placed a massive bet on this upcoming sparring match. The monk is baffled since the unorthodox boss isn't even allowed to watch, but she explains the stakes are huge. If the bad guys lose, they stop expanding. If they win, the Marine Alliance owes them a massive favor. The harsh reality sets in for the squad. The entire Marine Alliance is actively praying for their downfall just to win a political bet. The sharp-eyed guy coldly points out that since he and the Blood Sect kid have nothing to lose, they can just go all out and win. This immediately pisses off the female disciple. She slams the table, furious at the implication that the rest of them have to hold back and play it safe just to protect their own sex. The tension at the table instantly skyrockets. The squad is absolutely reeling from the news that they are just pawns in a massive political wager. The tension boils over as one of the girls snaps, screaming at Zeman Chiuk for being so casual about it. Another guy slams the table in pure frustration. He finally connects the dots, realizing their sect leader definitely knew about this setup the whole time and just threw them to the wolves anyway. Meanwhile, our boy is busy burning documents and ignoring the merchant's warnings about the Marine Alliance breathing down his neck. Woon just flashes a cocky grin. He declares that anyone who steps into his sect is officially his people, and he does not care about the politics. He even roasts the merchant, telling him to go cry to his secret backers if he is too scared to handle the heat. Before the merchant can even process getting called out, a messenger bursts into the courtyard screaming bloody murder. He is panicking about martial artists from both alliances gathering and thinks a full-scale war is about to pop off. But Woon gets the real scoop. It is not a turf war. A literal procession of 100 bloodthirsty demons is marching straight toward Dongting Lake, and they are already treating the locals like an all-you-can-eat buffet. So it turns out when a demon decides to settle down and evolve into a greater demon, it creates this nasty little phenomenon called a demonic terrain. It acts like a giant beacon for every other monster in the area, pulling them all together for a massive road trip straight toward the nearest human, all-you-can-eat buffet. Back at the base, our boy's ponytail disciple drops some heavy news. A massive horde of these ugly things is marching straight for the lake. But that is not even the worst part. The two Marine Alliance investigators who went missing in the area left a distress marker specifically telling people to call our guy if they did not come back in a month. Woon is absolutely sweating right now, realizing his old squad mates are in deep trouble. The disciple yells up asking if they are joining the local militia to fight the horde. Woon casually leaps off the roof and brushes it off. He figures the major sects will handle the grunt work and the Alliance will obviously prioritize evacuating the Academy kids first. He is not about to waste his time playing soldier when he has a rescue mission to run. He takes to the rooftops to track down his missing friends. But instead of a simple search and rescue, he runs face first into the big boss itself. A massive purple entity manifests right in front of him with glowing red eyes. It stares our guy down and purrs about how entertaining his fate is, calling him sweet like he is a walking snack. Woon freezes up, realizing this rescue op just turned into a boss fight way above his pay grade. Meanwhile, ominous purple clouds gather over the city like a massive bad omen. It is time to initialize the sect system. Back at the dining hall, the disciples are throwing a massive fit. They are totally pissed about being used as expendable pawns by the Marine Alliance. But before they can complain to the manager, a figure literally crashes through the window. He lands in a superhero crouch right in the middle of their dinner. It is Guang Yeon, the Yueyang branch head. He skips the pleasantries and drops a massive bomb on them. A night parade of 100 demons is heading straight for their location. He screams at them to pack up and get back to the training grounds immediately because this place is about to become a literal war zone. One of the girls immediately objects to running away like cowards. But Guang Yeon is not having it. He barks back that it is a strategic withdrawal and protecting their squishy student lives is his top priority. He pulls rank hard and demands they shut up and follow orders because the Alliance does not need a bunch of dead fledglings. But our spear guy Zeman Chiok is not buying this act. He realizes the branch head is way too frantic. He figures out that Guang Yeon already knows the main defensive line is going to collapse. But before Zeman can call him out, Guang Yeon suddenly freezes in absolute shock. The disciples look around in total confusion as the vibe in the room instantly shifts from angry to terrifying. The spear guy isn't buying the retreat order. He knows if the major sects drag their feet, street-level combat is guaranteed. His buddy tells him to stop acting crazy and just follow orders, but our boy is having a serious main character moment. He reminds the squad that as long as they are chilling at this training camp, they are officially repping the Righteous Heaven sect, and there is no way in hell their new boss would just abandon the locals and dip. The rest of the crew catches the vibe. The female martial artist agrees that running away is definitely not very orthodox of them, and even the reluctant guys are ready to throw hands. They quickly split up the tasks. Two of them check the surrounding formations while the rest scout for a choke point to intercept the demon parade. As the 5 trainees march off to play hero, the blonde tailor watches them go with a bitter smile, probably wishing she had that kind of reckless plot armor. Meanwhile, our actual main character is taking a casual stroll through the spooky purple woods. He knows his former subordinates are out here somewhere, probably running out of snacks and water. Sensing the demonic corruption getting thicker by the second, he draws his glowing blue sword and decides it is time to speedrun this side quest. Deeper in the forest, the big bad greater demon is throwing a massive pity party. It is super salty that some pesky humans gave it a beatdown just for snacking on a few locals. It complains that the humans somehow managed to slip away right under its nose, but it still refuses to admit they are anything more than pitiful little snacks. Deep in the woods, the newly awakened greater demon is absolutely tweaking. Hiding behind a tree, the female investigator admits her partner was right and they really should have packed this ugly guy up before he evolved. Her partner tells her to keep her voice down since the monster is clearly enjoying the hunt. But the demon already caught their scent and lunges right at them. The girl leaps out with a glowing blue sword and unleashes a massive cross-shaped energy slash. Unfortunately, the beast just catches her mid-air like a toy. Seeing his partner about to become a snack, the guy leaps in from above and delivers a sweeping slash that forces the monster to drop her. He lands with a cocky smile and asks if she is okay, completely oblivious to the massive shadow looming right behind him. She screams at him to look out, but it is way too late. The demon swats him like a pesky mosquito, sending him crashing face first into the dirt. As the monster dives in to finish the job and turn him into a permanent stain on the grass, a massive bolt of blue lightning suddenly strikes down from the heavens. The blast completely obliterates the demon's attack right before it can rip the guy to shreds. The skull-faced freak roars, but our boy is already on the scene. He stands over the battered investigator with his lightning sword drawn. The female investigator runs up crying for her captain, but he quickly corrects her. It is Sect leader now. He looks down at his old squad mates with a cocky grin and clicks his tongue. He really did not expect to have to clean up after these kids. The massive demon gets right in his face and roars, but suddenly a massive bolt of lightning strikes it from above. Our guy is completely caught off guard. He stares down the beast as a mysterious voice echoes through the forest, calling the monster a slow-witted fool. The voice offers to lend a hand. A massive surge of dark purple energy erupts from the shadows. Our boy braces himself against the blast and readies his blade. The voice purrs that it has been a long time. An elegant female demon steps out of the purple aura with a sly smile. Our guy is absolutely shook. He recognizes her dark energy immediately. It is the Black Knight. Our boy's eyes go wide as he recognizes the dark energy crackling in the air. He grits his teeth, realizing he is staring down the infamous Black Knight technique. Flashback time. A battered swordsman gasps for air in the middle of a literal graveyard of his own making. He is barely holding it together as he kneels among the fallen bodies. He staggers to his feet and screams out for Haran. But before he can even process the slaughter, a massive wave of dark purple energy blindsides him. A demonic entity latches onto his back, and our guy completely loses control as the dark aura swallows him whole. Snap back to the present. Our white-robed sect leader is staring down a massive horned demon. But the real problem is the dark-haired woman floating right in front of it. This is Black Knight. She is a legendary menace who once nuked half the Imperial Palace and rules over one of the 3 great demonic terrains. Woon is absolutely baffled because she was supposed to be sealed away for good. He wonders if this is just some clone as she casually fixes her hair like she didn't just crash a war zone. The giant demon roars in the background, but Woon's is completely unfazed. He just flashes a cocky smile, ready to show this ancient calamity exactly how much he has leveled up over the last 10 years. Our guy is absolutely done playing games. He sparks up his signature lightning aura and gives the demon lady a final warning to pack her bags and never show her face in this world again. And we are officially back in business. Meanwhile, the trainees are out here putting in the actual work. They are slicing up demon birds and giant centipedes like it is just another Tuesday. The spear guy has to yell at our former spy to stop spacing out and focus on the next part of the plan. Our boy is fighting a serious internal battle right now. He is deliberately keeping his old blood sword techniques locked away. It is super tempting to just let loose and go completely feral on these monsters, but he is determined to get stronger the right way alongside his new squad. He looks over at his teammates holding the line against the horde. Remembering the sect leader telling him he would eventually find his own true path, our boy finally cracks a smile. He is ready to show everyone what he is really made of without relying on the dark arts. The disciples refuse to back down. One of the trainees rallies the squad, telling them to lock in and focus only on the ugly mugs right in front of them. Their game plan is simple: survive. They just need to hold the line and act as a meat shield until the main reinforcements finally bother to show up. The squad charges headfirst into the demonic mosh pit. Our spiky-haired boy starts swinging for the fences, batting away floating skull heads like it is batting practice. Meanwhile, the spear guy is putting in the work, skewering a giant red centipede monster right through the jaw. But something is off. The demons are not just attacking. Half of them are actually running away in absolute panic, like they are being chased by something way worse. One of the trainees takes advantage of the chaos, stepping into his stance and unleashing a massive white energy slash right through the retreating horde. Our spiky-haired boy suddenly stops in his tracks. He and the spearmen are casually strolling through the battlefield when a sneaky little gremlin tries to pull a fast one from behind. But our boy has eyes in the back of his head. He spins around on a dime and slices the overgrown goblin right down the middle before it even gets a chance to squeak. The disciples are putting in work. Spiky Hair finishes off a downed beast and looks way too proud of himself for a guy who was explicitly told to retreat. But hey, confidence is key when you are fighting for your life. The squad forms up to hold the line against the incoming horde. Spiky Hair barks out an order and fully embraces his main character syndrome, which immediately gets him impaled right through the chest. A massive horned demon pops up out of nowhere, hoists our boy into the air, and takes a massive bite out of his shoulder. So much for holding the line. Spear Guy is absolutely not having it. He charges in screaming and forces the ugly bastard to drop his chew toy. Spiky Hair hits the dirt hard, and Spear Guy rushes over to check if his squad leader is still breathing. But the demon is just getting started. It roars and winds up for a massive follow-up strike. Spear Guy yells for everyone to get down and braces for impact, but before the monster can turn them into paste, a blinding white slash cleanly severs its arm. Just as things look grim, a massive white slash rips through the air, instantly amputating the giant insect demon's legs. The spearman watches the bug parts rain down, barely processing the clutch save before his buddy leaps over him. Because that relief lasts exactly 0 seconds, a massive creepy claw drops from the sky right above them. The spearman is absolutely frozen in terror, sweating bullets as this giant hand of death looms over his head. Enter our boy Wu Gang. He leaps into the danger zone, screaming that he refuses to let his comrade die. He remembers the Sect leader explicitly forbidding him from using his old blood sword arts to keep his newly cleansed meridians pure. But he decides hiding his power level is not worth his friend getting squashed. He charges up his ultimate technique and unleashes a massive wave of energy, slicing the giant claw to pieces in a blinding flash. The beast shrieks in pain as it gets knocked back. Wu Gang braces himself, fully expecting his body to be tainted by his old unorthodox energy again. But the spearman is absolutely flabbergasted. Instead of the sinister blood-red aura of his past, Wu Gang's sword is glowing with a pure, brilliant golden light. The kid stares at his blade in absolute shock. His normally toxic blood-red energy is shining a bright golden yellow. He actually managed to purify his corrupted arts. He flashes back to his new master, giving him that classic shonen pep talk. The Sect leader promised the kid he would definitely find his own unique path of the sword. Realizing his master was right all along, our boy beams with pure pride and shouts out to his teacher. A massive green demon spots a dark-haired woman and decides she looks like a pure 5-star meal. He threatens to devour her on the spot, but she is not having it. With a single flick of her wrist, she unleashes a purple energy slash and instantly separates his ugly head from his shoulders. A scrawny gray demon watches from the bushes, absolutely terrified but also taking notes. He decides he wants that kind of main character energy for himself, so he grabs a random human traveler and strings him up in a tree. The guy begs for his life, but the demon admits he is actually just scared and needs to level up. He bites right into the dude and chugs his blood like a protein shake, screaming for more as his eyes glow red. He declares that from now on he is also a terrifying predator. After a quick title drop for the chapter, our newly confident demon roars that all humans must fear him. He charges in for a lethal strike, but unfortunately for him, he picked the absolute worst target. Our boy casually blocks the attack with his sword and just hits him with a flat O. The demon goes absolutely feral, swinging its claws like a blender on max speed. Our boy barely manages to dodge the flurry of red energy slashes, telling himself to lock in because this fight is far from over. But right before the monster can land a fatal blow, a spear suddenly impales it from behind. The ponytail spearman flashes a cocky grin, perfectly timing his assist to save his teammate's skin. Taking full advantage of the opening, the dark-haired disciple leaps into the air and swings his blade down hard. The demon's eyes widen in shock as it gets completely blindsided by the aerial assault. The squad is officially dialed in. The swordsman calls out his thanks for the clutch support just as the bald monk enters the chat. Shouting a quick prayer, the monk drops from the sky and smashes the beast into the dirt with a heavy strike. The spearman yanks his weapon back with a quick shout-out to his squad mates. The rest of the martial school trainees finally arrive on the scene, grouping up to form a solid front line against the demonic threat. They stare down the massive monster, quickly realizing this thing is way above a standard grunt and is likely the master of the local demonic branch. Meanwhile, the spiky-haired kid clutches his chest, already looking completely gassed and injured before the real boss fight even begins. The whip-wielding girl leaps into action, telling the others to leave the rear to them. The demon fires off a dark energy blast, but she easily dodges it with a smirk. Right on cue, the bald monk drops in from above to deliver a heavy strike. The spearman charges forward, declaring that they are done playing defense. He clashes head-on with the beast. But this monster is driven by pure primal hunger, and it locks its glowing red eyes right back onto him. Suddenly, the gray demon completely loses it and lunges at a nearby worm monster. It sinks its teeth in and sprays purple blood everywhere. The fighters are absolutely baffled, wondering if this thing just went insane. But the beast just declares itself an apex predator. The monk grits his teeth, realizing this monster has completely gone off the rails. A massive wave of red energy explodes outward, and the fighters are forced to scatter. The disciples are barely holding the line against this absolute unit of a demon. Our boy Wu Gang leaps into the fray, clashing blades with the multi-arms monstrosity to buy his squad some breathing room. But he knows they are on a strict time limit. Using his newly purified golden aura burns through his stamina way too fast. As the beast lunges for one of the girls, Wu Gang decides it is time to wrap this up. He channels every ounce of his energy into his blade and launches a desperate Tempest lightning strike. The attack connects dead on, but there is a massive catch. His basic standard issue sword completely shatters on impact. The demon just tanks the hit and instantly snatches our defenseless swordsman right out of the air. It pulls him in close for a point-blank roar, ready to bite his head clean off. His buddy screams his name in pure panic, but right before Wu Gang becomes a midnight snack, a massive pillar of blue energy nukes the demon from orbit and blasts it away. The demon lady gives our boy a creepy little compliment. She admits her plan hit a snag, but praises his blossoming potential before dipping out through a spooky purple gate. With the boss gone, the Marine Alliance reinforcements finally arrive. The commander screams for them to advance and wipe out every last ugly bug in the forest. Woon does not just stand around watching. He jumps right into the meat grinder with a massive slash. But his mind is racing. Since Black Knight made her grand entrance way earlier than she was supposed to, our guy realizes he needs to hit the gas on his own master plan. Back at the Marine Alliance Yaoyang branch, the streets are buzzing with rumors that just 5 kids from the Muryeon Martial School completely halted the night parade. Inside, the blindfolded branch leader is recovering in bed. But the vice advisor is throwing an absolute tantrum. He demands they cover up the kids' achievements because of a high-stakes wager with the Unorthodox Alliance. He wants the official Alliance warriors to steal all the credit so the kids don't become heroes. The branch leader isn't having it, though. He snaps back that those kids fought like true warriors and refuses to bury the truth. Meanwhile, our boy is treating his disciples to a massive feast at a local inn. The squad is hyped, bragging about their demon kill counts and wishing their buddy was there to see them pop off. Our guy is just smiling and pouring drinks, letting them enjoy the post-battle high. But the good vibes hit a brick wall when he casually drops a massive bombshell. He reveals that the Marine Alliance is actually praying for their downfall in the upcoming tournament. The whole squad freezes mid-chew, absolutely flabbergasted that their own side wants them to take a massive L. At the tavern, the ponytail guy is fuming that the Alliance higher-ups are treating them like disposable pawns. But our boy Woon just takes a casual sip of his drink and drops a massive truth bomb over dinner. The Alliance doesn't respect them because they are pathetically weak. That harsh reality check hits the squad like a truck. The disciples freeze up, completely stunned into silence as Woon stands up and casts a menacing shadow over the entire table. He flashes a wicked smirk from the head of the table, letting that heavy tension marinate for a second. The crew is practically sweating bullets, waiting for their leader to drop the hammer. But instead of a grueling lecture, Woon completely shifts gears. He cheerfully announces that the local branch leader is footing the bill today, so they better eat until they burst. The squad instantly snaps out of their funk and cheers. Meanwhile, the blindfolded branch leader suddenly gets a chill down his spine, wondering if a demon just walked into the room. Nope, that is just the aura of a man about to put his students through absolute hell. Woon grins as a system window pops up with some juicy news. Thanks to their recent monster hunting, the Righteous Heavens Sect has officially hit rank 9, and his status window is ready to evolve. Our boy Sect is leveling up fast. The system hits him with a massive choice to set the entire orientation of his faction. He can either go the expansion route and recruit a massive army of disciples to spread his influence, or pick unique succession. That limits his roster to 10 elites but gives them insane growth buffs to perfectly preserve his martial arts. Later that night at a bustling inn near the Marine Alliance, our guy is still sweating over the glowing blue screen. His disciples have to literally remind him to eat his dinner before it gets cold. Since this choice is permanent, he decides to put a pin in it for now, leaving his #1 fangirl staring at him like he has lost his mind. The tavern is buzzing with gossip about the upcoming inter-school tournament. Everyone is already treating the rival academy's victory as a guaranteed lock. The blue-haired seamstress breaks down exactly why this event is such a big deal. These academies are literally breeding grounds for the future pillars of the Marine. The whole point is to forge these kids into hardened faction leaders with real battlefield experience. It is not just a simple one-on-one sparring match. The tournament is a brutal 3-part gauntlet. First up is the gate breakthrough to test their survival skills. Then comes the individual duels, capped off by a massive all-out group battle. Whichever side secures 2 out of the 3 events takes home the crown for the year. Woon pities his poor juniors for their massive losing streak. But their tavern meal gets interrupted by a loudmouth. It is Pang Gyuk, the young lord of the Pang clan and a former Mujong disciple. He laughs and assumes Woon recognized his old rival instantly. Woon just deadpans and calls him Pang Gu, completely butchering his name. The big guy gets instantly triggered. He slams a heavy hand onto the big disciple's shoulder, paralyzing the poor kid with his sheer pressure. He tells them not to bother watching the tournament since Mujong is guaranteed to win anyway. Woon just leans on his hand and casually roasts him. He says that if the current generation is anything like him, they sound incredibly beatable. The older guy loses his mind, screaming that things are different now and making excuses about how Woon ruined his chances back in the day. Woon just hits him with that smug smile. To shut him up, Woon proposes a little wager. He casually puts the legendary Divine Healer's treatment tag on the line, an item rumored to literally revive the dead. The Pang Lord is absolutely flabbergasted. But Woon is not doing this for charity. He demands the Pang clan's legendary cold iron in return, leaving the loudmouth sweating bullets over the high stakes. The older guy slams his fist on the table, yelling that a bet is just a bet. He demands to know where these supposedly amazing Muryeon disciples even are right now. Our boy freezes mid-bite, completely shocked to realize they are currently out in the wild doing special training. Cut to the disciples gathered outside, where our dark-haired leader is splitting them into squads for their journey to the Marine Alliance. He pairs up the spear user with our reformed blood sword boy, and they lock in with a solid fist bump. The green-haired girl gets paired with a bald monk, leaving the powerhouse girl completely solo. She points at herself in absolute disbelief, waving her arms and throwing a total fit in the background while the leader casually gives them a 10-day time limit to reach the venue. Night falls over the freezing mountain ranges. By the campfire, the spear user notices his buddy looking super stressed out. And yeah, the kid has a lot on his mind. Changing his sword style doesn't just magically erase his ties to the psychotic bloodsword sect, and he is terrified of how his crazy dad is going to react. Suddenly, the bushes start rustling nearby. The two boys instantly snap to attention, grabbing their weapons and demanding to know who is creeping around in the dark. But their little camping trip gets interrupted when a mysterious figure in red drops in from the trees. It is none other than Moyong Hyeon, the Heavenly Squad captain. She unsheathes her sword and casually demands a mock battle right then and there, ready to test exactly what these kids are made of. Our boys Woogang and Cheek barely have time to breathe before a red blur drops from the sky. It is the Heavenly Squad captain herself, and she is not here for a friendly chat. She demands they draw their weapons, launching a lightning-fast strike right at their faces. Turns out she is here to repay a debt since our duo saved her squad members during that whole demon parade mess. But her version of a thank you involves a lethal barrage of sword swings. She unleashes a massive slash that forces the boys on the defensive, proving exactly why she holds that captain title. And with that warm welcome out of the way, it is time to initialize the Sect system. Meanwhile, back at the main gates, the rival Mujeong Martial School Squad finally rolls up to a massive cheering crowd. The dark-haired sword guy immediately complains about all the noise, wishing they could have just sneaked in. But his bald buddy is eating up the attention, resulting that they are obviously going to crush the Muryeon team anyway, so they might as well enjoy the hype. The Mujeong Martial School Squad is feeling way too confident. The ponytail guy is already declaring victory over the Muryeon kids, but his buddy puts him in a chokehold, warning him to keep his ego in check before he gets them all yelled at. Still, the ponytail guy does not get the hype. They have been grinding for a whole year too, so what could possibly make their rivals a threat now? Their white-haired senior shoots him a look that screams you have no idea. He drops the bomb that the Muryeon squad has a new instructor and turns to the dark-haired girl, casually mentioning that the guy is actually her blood relative. Cue the dramatic mental image of our boy looking like an absolute menace. The senior tells them to lock in because they are officially the prey now. He marches off with the rest of the crew, leaving the girl frozen in her tracks. Her eyes go wide as the reality sets in. Her brother is actually here. Meanwhile, the unorthodox alliance leader is rolling up to enemy territory in a carriage, getting scolded by his subordinate to act like he actually has some dignity. Inside, his right-hand man is stressing out, calling this whole tournament wager a massive trap where they have everything to lose. He questions why his boss would ever agree to a ceasefire right now. But the boss is just chilling on the roof, completely unbothered. He points out that the Marine Alliance is way too corrupt to ever let the underdog Muryeon kids take the win. They are going to rig this whole thing to protect their precious top-tier sects, which means the unorthodox side is basically guaranteed to cash in on this bet. Meanwhile, the unorthodox alliance leader is rolling up to the Marine Alliance headquarters in style. He is perched right on top of his carriage like an absolute menace. He knows the orthodox factions are going to try and flex on him before negotiations even start, but he is totally unfazed. He is just here to plant some seeds of doubt and watch the chaos unfold. Inside the Muryeon Martial School head office, the big boss Yeon-gun is having a full-blown panic attack. His disciples were specifically told not to win the upcoming tournament, but they went and entered anyway. His deputy tries to calm him down and suggests letting the new arrivals rest up from their travel fatigue. But Yeon-gun completely loses his mind because the people who just arrived aren't his missing students. He whips around to find our boy Woon just casually sipping his expensive tea in the corner. The school head screams at the former captain, demanding to know where the hell his disciples are. Woon calmly corrects him, stating that he is the righteous heaven's sect leader now. He flashes a cocky smile and tells the stressed-out old man to chill out. He reminds him that he single-handedly trained the legendary Heavenly Squad, so his teaching methods really do not need to be questioned right now. Outside the meeting room, the guards listen to the school head absolutely losing his mind. He slams his fist on the table, panicking because the unorthodox alliance delegation is arriving in 30 minutes and their seats are completely empty. But our boy just sits there looking smug. He promises the angry headmaster that not a single one of his students will be missing. Meanwhile, a massive crowd gathers outside the main gates to welcome the incoming carriage. Inside, the unorthodox alliance leader scoffs at the childish flex. His right-hand man points out that the Marine Alliance is just trying to pressure them before the negotiations even start. Down in the courtyard, the first advisor waits patiently for the massive wooden doors to swing open, revealing the fierce underworld boss and his entourage. The grand courtyard is completely decked out for the occasion. The bearded boss smiles broadly as he steps inside, totally unfazed by the overwhelming display of power. He is immediately greeted by the Sword Emperor and the Sword Empress, two of the absolute strongest pillars of the Orthodox faction. The first advisor politely offers to guide the guests inside, and the underworld boss chuckles as he walks past the pristine Orthodox disciples, ready to see if this golden generation actually lives up to the hype. The unorthodox alliance boss laughs off the tension and turns his attention to the main event. The Merim leaders proudly show off their Mujong disciples. They hype these kids up as the absolute golden generation of orthodox martial arts. The bearded boss gives a polite smile and calls it a generous evaluation, but internally he is completely underwhelmed. To a guy who runs the criminal underworld, these sheltered kids look incredibly soft. He smirks with absolute confidence. He knows this high-stakes wager is already in the bag. But before the Merim leaders can ask why he is smiling, the sky literally starts falling. 5 figures plummet from the heavens and slam into the courtyard with a massive shockwave. The unorthodox leader realizes his initial assessment was right on the money. The Mujong kids are totally below the mark, but these new arrivals are a completely different breed. The dust clears to reveal the Murian training unit kneeling in perfect formation. Leading the pack is our boy Wugong. He looks absolutely locked in and ready to devour the competition. Outside the Merim Alliance gates, a massive crowd gathers as the main doors rumble open. 2 sneaky trainees realize this is the first time the gates have opened since the all-out war declaration. That means whatever is happening today is a massive deal. Our messy-haired guy is still planning to sneak inside since they spent the whole week dodging the Heavenly Squad captain. His buddy figures even she wouldn't dare cause a scene in front of the Alliance elders. But before they can even finish that thought, they get completely busted and yeeted straight over the wall. The whole squad of runaway trainees crash lands right in the middle of the courtyard. They immediately drop to their knees and announce their official return from training, hoping to play it cool. But our boy looks up and instantly starts sweating bullets. He just realized they crash-landed right in front of the terrifying unorthodox alliance leader. The rest of the disciples glance back in pure panic. By underworld standards, these kids are basically dead meat. The Murion head desperately tries to laugh it off and claims they just wanted to make a flashy entrance for their VIP guests. But the trainees are absolutely paralyzed with fear as the unorthodox boss and his top goons loom over them like sleep paralysis demons. The scarred unorthodox boss tries to flex on the sweating schoolhead, but our boy Woon is not having it. He steps right up to the big bad and confidently declares they are going to win this whole thing. The bearded boss leans in and asks if Woon understands the weight of his words and the unfair treatment they will face if they lose this massive bet. Woon just smirks and hits him with a casual confirmation. He knows there will not be any unfair treatment because his squad is taking home the gold. The disciples stand tall and radiate absolute gigachad energy. Woon tells his crew that by crashing this party, they just made everyone rethink their bets. The haters who thought the rival school had an easy win are finally seeing them as actual threats. With the pep talk done, Woon tells them to go unpack and rest up while he handles some off-screen business. He turns his back on the squad and heads out to pay a visit to an old friend. Woon flashes a mischievous grin as he casually strolls into the rival instructor's room. He sips his tea like it is none of his business and asks the white-haired master if he really needs a reason to visit a buddy he has not seen in a decade. The white-haired instructor just side-eyes him. He points out that Woon has not beaten him once in 10 years, so this whole tournament is basically a free win. Woon just takes another sip of his tea with the smug-jest smile you have ever seen. He is about to drop a massive curveball on this guy. Woon's boss is having an absolute meltdown over their lack of students. But our boy is just chilling with the rival instructor. The white-haired guy tries to throw him a bone and suggests a 5-on-5 match. Woon just smirks and declines. He completely roasts the guy for having zero teaching talent. He even brings up that time the rival took a massive L against him. The guy is absolutely stunned. Woon tells him he is in no position to be making demands right now. Instead, Woon pitches a wild idea. He wants to swap students for a single day. He points out that if the rival school wins right now, everyone will just say it was expected anyway. But if they train each other's kids first, it completely levels the playing field. The rival glares at him. He realizes Woon is backing him into a corner with pure logic and a whole lot of disrespect. Meanwhile, Woon's little sister is taking a relaxing soak. She sighs to herself. She knows her brother is completely dodging her questions and she is getting tired of waiting. Meanwhile, our boy's little sister is out here playing Assassin's Creed on the rooftops. San is creeping around the estate trying to figure out why her brother ditched their prestigious clan for this raggedy startup sect. She is absolutely fuming and decides the best way to get answers is to just violently crush his new students. Down in the courtyard, Woon is smiling like he owns the place. He steps up to the rival Mujong school disciples and casually announces he will be their substitute teacher for the day. The students are completely shook while their actual instructor is having a massive aneurysm in the background, realizing Woon is just here to flex on his kids. Woon tells the crowd that nobody is allowed to tap out and immediately calls up the first victim to the slaughter. A dude named Gyong steps up and gives a respectful bow, probably praying he does not leave in a body bag. Gyong locks in and charges forward with a flurry of strikes. But our guy is just built different. Woon effortlessly weaves through the attacks without even breaking a sweat, making the poor kid look like he is swinging in slow motion. Our boy is putting on an absolute masterclass. He promised to match their level, but this top-notch kid quickly realizes that even with a handicap, the sect leader is a brick wall. He just flashes that cocky grin and keeps the pain train rolling. He casually swats away flurries of strikes from the next batch of challengers like they are nothing but annoying flies. A bald dude tries to jump him, but gets instantly packed up as our guy just yells for the next victim. Standing over a courtyard full of bruised egos, he asks if anyone else wants a piece of the action. He mentally notes that while their basics are solid, the ponytail kid, Namgong Hyeon, is the real standout. He figures if his own disciple Wugong had not wasted years learning trash unorthodox arts, those two would be neck and neck. Our boy effortlessly deflects the flurry of strikes without breaking a single sweat. The challenger stumbles back in pure frustration, realizing he cannot even touch a single hair on his instructor. Woon just flashes a cocky smile, knowing he is an absolute menace to these kids. But the sparring session is far from over. A new challenger steps up and grips her hilt. It is none other than his younger sister San. She glares absolute daggers at him and warns him to draw his weapon right now if he actually wants to survive this family reunion. Flashback time. Little Bakley San is throwing an absolute fit because she wants to go outside. The servants try to wrangle the tiny terror, but she just retreats to her room to sulk under the covers, wishing her late mom was around to let her break the rules. But then her big bro Bakley Woon sneaks in with the ultimate cheat code. He shushes her and smuggles her out of the estate on his shoulders. They hit up the local night market, and Woon promises to sneak her out whenever she wants as long as she keeps it on the down low. Best brother ever, right? Later that night, San is buzzing with excitement, already planning their next jailbreak. But her hype is instantly killed when a panicked servant bursts in. Turns out the golden child did not just sneak out for snacks. Young Master Woon has completely vanished. Fast forward 12 years. We cut to the Mujong Martial School where a fellow disciple tries to shoot his shot with the now grown-up San. He tries to strike up a casual conversation about them being in the same intake, but San is not having it. She is busy wrapping her bruised hands in the middle of a wrecked training ground, glaring daggers that immediately make the guy sweat bullets. She has zero time for small talk. The little sister glares at our boy, wondering what the heck turned him into such a buzzkill over the last 12 years. But enough reminiscing. She points her blade right at the instructor and charges in for the kill. Woon does not even flinch. He just stands there looking majestic as a wall of white energy effortlessly deflects her strike. She busts out the fiery white flower art, throwing a heavy slash right at his face, but he just bounces it off like it is nothing. She leaps back to reset. Not one to take an L lying down, she immediately winds up for round 2. She swings her blade, painting the courtyard with massive trails of white energy. It blooms into a giant spectral flower before she brings the whole thing crashing down with enough force to level a small building. The impact kicks up a massive dust cloud. But when the smoke clears, our guy is just chilling in the center of a crater without a single scratch on his pristine white robes. The sister is left huffing and puffing, absolutely mauling that her ultimate move did 0 damage. Frustrated beyond belief, she grits her teeth and dives right back into the blender. The little sister is absolutely livid. She screams that he was the one who abandoned her and brings up his broken childhood promise to take her out to play whenever she wanted. Our boy is genuinely caught off guard by the sudden guilt trip, but she does not let up for a second. He slides back and flat out refuses to give her a reason for leaving the clan. Obviously, that is not the answer she wants to hear. She immediately launches a rapid sweeping strike called Alluring Petal Scatter to force his hand. She rushes in with 0 hesitation and grips her hilt tight, but our guy is just too fast. He easily leaps high into the air to dodge the sweeping blade, leaving her swinging at empty space down below. Calling him out for his arrogant defensive play, she decides to exploit his refusal to hurt her. She channels a massive amount of energy into her blade and unleashes a terrifying dark dragon attack known as the Fiery White Flower Secret Art. Our instructor realizes a little too late that this is not the standard technique he remembers. The sheer force of the blast creates a massive shockwave that rocks the entire courtyard. When the dust finally settles, the onlookers are completely stunned. The little sister actually pushed him hard enough that he finally had to draw his sword to block the strike. Woon is genuinely impressed. His little sister did not just master the clan's arts, she straight up evolved them to create her own techniques. But that kind of power comes with a nasty recoil. San coughs up a lungful of blood and has to use her sword as a crutch just to stay upright. Even running on absolute fumes, she glares daggers at her brother. She screams that his precious Muryeon school does not stand a chance in the tournament. Her peers literally have to drag her away before she tries to throw hands again. Woon just smiles warmly. He flashes back to the tiny kid who used to beg him to watch her swing a wooden stick. She really leveled up since then, but right now they are standing on opposite sides of the battlefield. The rest of the peanut gallery just awkwardly murmurs among themselves. Woon claps his hands and tells the gawking disciples to get back to their self-training. He casually turns his back and adds that his door is open if they get stuck on any martial arts concepts. But the loudmouth Pang Jin takes that as an open invitation to pry into family drama. He screams out to ask why Woon ran away from home all those years ago. Woon just gives a tight smile. He knows he cannot tell them the real reason without ruining everything his mother tried to protect. Meanwhile, San is still absolutely losing her mind in the background demanding answers. Our boy refuses to make any excuses for ditching the clan all those years ago, But before he can completely shut down the conversation, another disciple steps up to the plate. Woon tries to hit him with the classic "I do not talk to outsiders" line, but this guy is not taking no for an answer. The disciple drops into a deep bow and lays out the facts. He points out that their school is absolutely stacked with top-tier fighters and begs our guy for a massive favor. He explains that San has completely changed since they were kids. She went from a happy little girl who just loved swinging a sword to an absolute menace fueled entirely by pure unadulterated hatred. And after seeing her fight today, he finally understands why. He tells Woon that just handing them a standard defeat will not fix her attitude problem. He looks our boy dead in the eye and pleads with him to absolutely crush their school in the upcoming tournament. He wants Woon to completely shatter her ego so she can finally move on. Woon is visibly annoyed and asks why this random dude cares so much about his sister's mental health. The guy flashes a smug smile and drops a bomb. They are actually betrothed. Turns out she was his very first sparring partner back in the day. So underneath all that cocky pretty boy energy, he actually wants to see her get better. The ponytail kid practically sweats bullets as our guy suddenly invades his personal space. But instead of chewing him out, the sect leader just flashes a razor-sharp grin. He tells the kid he doesn't need to beg for a brutal beatdown because his squad is already planning on taking home the gold anyway. We kick things off with a merchant hawking some seriously overpriced hairpins. Our nervous backpack guy thinks it is a total scam, but when the merchant calls his bluff, he defensively buys one anyway just to save his fragile ego. He wanders off into the market, realizing this town is absolutely swarming with people. Desperate for some grub, he hits up a local outdoor eatery and asks for a table for one. The server hits him with the classic forced socialization routine, asking if he minds sharing a table. Our guy glances over to scope out his potential dining partner. It is a cheerful dude rocking an eye patch. Backpack guy immediately gets the ick, realizing this is exactly the type of extrovert who will yap his ear off the entire meal. He tries to politely dip out and find another spot. But eye patch guy is already waving him over, pointing out that literally every other seat in the tri-state area is taken. Defeated, our socially anxious friend takes a seat and humbly orders a single bowl of noodles. But eye patch guy is feeling generous. He immediately flags the waiter to add a massive serving of 5 spice braised pork to the tab, grinning like an absolute madman while our guy just sweats bullets. The nervous guy finally gets his noodles and takes a seat. He immediately brings up the upcoming tournament, pointing out that the Muryon Martial School is basically the underdog here. He assumes his new tablemate agrees they don't stand a chance since they aren't exactly repping a prestigious clan. The eye patch guy just grins and casually snacks on his pork. The nervous guy sweats bullets and tells him he doesn't need to spare his feelings, admitting Muryon is definitely going to take an L. But the eye patch guy just calmly asks why he would need to be considerate of his feelings in the first place. The eye patch guy jokingly introduces himself as the young master of arts. The nervous guy is not amused and tells him to drop the bit and give his real name. The eye patch guy finally drops the act and reveals his name is Bakley Sion. The eye patch guy relocates to a nearby roof to watch the upcoming inter-school tournament unfold. Meanwhile, the unorthodox alliance leader is chilling nearby like a total slacker. His advisor tells him to maintain some dignity, but the boss literally could not care less since no one is watching. Suddenly, the Bloodsword sect leader drops in to crash the party. The alliance leader asks the spiky-haired boss if that edgy brat who boldly declared he would win on the first day is his disciple. The Bloodsword sect leader confirms it, knowing his kid has a serious talent for ruthless, cold-blooded killing. The scarred unorthodox alliance leader casually asks the Bloodsword sect leader about the ceasefire terms. He wonders if it only kicks in if the Mujong school wins and if it would be a massive headache if the underdog Muryon squad actually takes the W instead. Meanwhile, our boy Bakley Woon is hyping up his squad. He tells them that their past losing streak means absolutely nothing right now. The only thing that matters is who takes the crown at the end. With a confident smirk, he throws open the arena doors and tells them to go prove everyone wrong. The announcer calls out the teams as they step into the massive packed stadium. Group leader Sion Wugong and his 4 companions make their grand entrance ready to face off against Namgong Hyon and his massive squad of 15. An elder steps up to the plate explaining that this whole event is designed to build character and motivate the losers. He gathers a massive amount of purple energy in his hands and unleashes a blinding illusion spell telling the kids to do their absolute best. The announcer finally kicks off the inter-school tournament with a massive burst of purple energy. Our boy Woon smirks and explains to his disciples that they are looking at a massive illusion talisman. Basically, the judges need to see everything that goes down in the arena, so they have a squad of monks sitting in a circle channeling their inner Wi-Fi routers to broadcast the whole match. The rules for round 1 drop like a fresh patch note. It is a capture the flag style mission to seize a hidden secret manual. The Mujong school spawns into the dungeon and their ponytail leader immediately calls for a head count. His squad reports back that everyone loaded in perfectly fine with 0 lag. Their trap expert steps up to inspect the walls and says she can handle any basic enchantments blocking their path. Ponytail guy nods and orders Group 2 to start dismantling the traps while the rest of the squad plays bodyguard. He is playing it super safe and calculating every move. The trap girl touches the stone pillar and confidently claims she can easily disarm the smaller hazards. But before she can even finish her sentence, a massive explosion completely shatters the wall right in front of them. The blood sword kid bursts through the dust cloud looking like a total mess. A quick flashback shows his master explaining that since massive illusion arrays drain a ton of energy, the traps inside won't actually kill you. They are just annoying deterrents like poison or minor damage. The enemy leader is absolutely flabbergasted. He calls our boy a madman for literally just wearing extra layers of clothes to tank his way through the defense system. He draws his sword, ready to capture the lone wolf, but the kid just casually strips off his ruined outer robes and hits him with a cheeky smile. He draws his blade and charges right into the enemy squad. The opposing team completely panics, thinking the judges will never allow such a suicidal strategy. But our boy isn't trying to sacrifice himself. He unleashes a massive glowing strike straight into the ground, shattering the floor and sending everyone plummeting down as he happily announces a stage change. The floor completely shatters under the sheer force of the strike. Both fighters are sent plummeting straight down into the dark abyss along with a ton of crushed stone. But while his opponent is probably having a heart attack, our boy Wugang is just grinning like an absolute maniac. He casually asks if they should change the stage as they freefall into the unknown. Flashback time. Our boy Woon asks his students what they need to win the tournament. One of them yells out strength, but Woon hits them with a reality check. They are definitely not stronger than the Mujeong school right now. So what is the plan? Strategy. It is how the weak clap the strong, and it all comes down to information. Woon casually drops a literal mountain of documents on the table and tells them to memorize every single page. The students look like they just saw a ghost. He explains that illusionists are not gods. They can only create trials based on real recorded terrains. But the students are sweating bullets, wondering how they are supposed to cram all this in just a week. Woon just smirks and tells them to believe in themselves. He pulls up his trusty Sect system and drops 20 essence water to buff their memorization skills. Looks like saving the day from demons comes with some sweet perks. Meanwhile, one of the Mujeong disciples crawls out from under the rubble, completely baffled by Wugong's crazy stunt. He looks around the empty corridor, realizing he has been separated from the pack. Figuring his best bet is to regroup with the others, he grabs his sword and prepares to move out. But before he can take a single step, a whip lashes out at his feet. It is our girl Oh Ryong, and she is not about to let him ruin their plans. The bald guy tries to act tough, saying he will not go down easy, but she just smirks, warning him that taking her on alone is way too optimistic. And just to rub it in, another Mujeong disciple pops up right behind him. Oh Ryong casually dangles a handful of Mujeong wooden tags, proving they have already been hunting his buddies. Cornered, the bald guy unleashes a desperate flurry of sword slashes, but Oh Ryong just stands there unfazed. Sweating bullets, he tries to awkwardly suggest a draw, but she just yells at him to get lost and whips him into next week. Back in the spectator stands the third advisor, absolutely loses his mind. He jumps up and screams that this whole stunt is a blatant violation of the rules. But the first advisor calmly shuts him down. He points out that collapsing the floor to scatter the enemy and then hunting them down in small teams is technically a valid strategy. The old man grits his teeth, knowing he is right. The first advisor sits back and does the math. The illusionists were sworn to absolute secrecy under a blood oath, so there is no way the terrain was leaked. That leaves only one terrifying conclusion. Our boy memorized hundreds of possible map layouts and drilled his students on every single one in just a week. The advisor is left sweating over just how massive this guy's brain really is. Down in the trial, the master plan is working flawlessly. The bald monk and the whip girl easily collect the wooden tags from their scattered enemies. Our boy watches from afar like a proud mastermind as his students casually mop up the competition and drag the trash out to the curb. The monk and his buddy are absolutely floored when they see their bait getting dragged across the floor like a sack of potatoes. They can't believe even this was part of the enemy's strategy. Meanwhile, Namgong Hyun is fighting for his life. He remembers the ground collapsing and leaving him all alone, only to get immediately jumped by a coordinated ambush. He's dodging spears and catching hands, sliding back as he realizes these guys are way stronger than he thought. Zeman Cheek and his partner are grinning like they already won the lottery. Hyun tries to call them out for being shameless and jumping him in the dark, but they see right through his stalling tactics. A wooden block drops from above, and one of the ambushers steps up, pointing his sword right at Hyun's face. He casually lets him know that dragging this out is pointless because nobody is coming to save him. Realizing he's backed into a corner against the heavy hitters of the Mujeong school, Hyun decides if he's going down, he's taking someone with him. He powers up his boundless heavenly sword art, ready to drop a nuke on the whole squad. The ponytail guy channels his ultimate blue aura, ready to take at least one of them down with him. But before he can unleash his final strike, a massive wave of white energy crashes into the arena and completely neutralizes his attack. The dust clears to reveal his savior. It is none other than Bakley San stepping up to the plate. The ponytail guy breathes a sigh of relief, finally ready to throw down properly now that he has some backup. But there is a slight catch. Our girl is literally missing her entire left arm. She brushes it off though, reminding him that any injuries here are just part of the illusion trial and will vanish once they leave. The duo draws their swords and locks in for a 2-on-2 showdown. The spear duo assumes their green-haired teammate Oryong is just keeping the others busy, but San hits them with a brutal reality check. She caught that rat hiding on her way over and casually drops 3 wooden tags on the floor. The spear guy panics, realizing his entire squad just got wiped off the map. The ponytail guy warns her that the ground is completely wrecked from the shockwaves and will collapse in less than an hour, but our one-armed queen just glares right back at their enemies. She tells him not to sweat it, because they are going to finish this fight way before the clock runs out. We open on a literal pile of corpses and this kid is just trying to crawl his way out. He is coughing up a lung and begging for a hand. But the local loot goblin is too busy checking pockets to care. He tells the kid to help himself and calls him a disgusting beggar. The kid sits up, realizing that in the slums you either beg or you hit the battlefield, and since begging clearly is not working out, he decides to take his chances at the Marine Alliance gates. Cut to the present, and one of our spear-wielding disciples is sweating bullets. He used to just focus on surviving, but after making some actual friends, he kind of forgot what it felt like to be terrified of dying. Unfortunately, that whole demonic parade incident brought the fear right back. Now his hands are shaking so hard he can barely hold his weapon. Down in the dirt, the spearman and our angry sword girl are trading heavy blows. Up in the VIP section, the unorthodox alliance boss is having a great time. He smirks at his buddy, pointing out that the underdog Murian kids are actually pulling ahead. He asks if his pal still seriously thinks they can't beat the elite Mujeong school. But perfect plans usually go out the window when reality hits. The only thing that can stop a fighter ready to die is another fighter with the exact same crazy resolve. Our girl screams at her opponent to shut up as they clash again. A quick flashback reveals our boy Wu Gang getting a warning from his master. Woon told him the unorthodox boss would be in the crowd and would definitely recognize his secret moves. Wu Gang brushed it off, saying he was planning to ditch the Marine Alliance anyway. Woon just smiled, knowing the kid had already made his choice. Back in the present, Wu Gang curses under his breath, realizing he might actually have to go all out. Our sword boy is sweating bullets against the ponytail guy. He realizes he is outmatched and decides to put all his faith in his spear-wielding buddy to finish his fight and come to the rescue. He internally begs for a carry. Ponytail guy is just smiling through the clash. He figures the only real problem left is finding the hidden manual, and our boy is the last obstacle standing in his way. Meanwhile, the angry sister is going absolutely feral on the spearman. Her teammate screams at her to control her strength because the ground is literally crumbling beneath them, but she is way too locked in to care. The spearman realizes he is dealing with a crazy person. She unleashes a massive fiery slash and he counters with a heavy impact strike. The two attacks collide in a blinding explosion of energy. Back on the other side of the room, our sword boy is still fighting for his life. He screams as he throws everything he has into blocking the ponytail guy's relentless strikes. A teammate yells that they are coming to back her up, but the sister is already charging up her ultimate move. She prepares to drop a secret art right on the spearman's head. San unleashes her ultimate move, the White Flame Beast. A massive energy dragon erupts from her blade and absolutely blasts our spear boy and his buddy across the room. She is panting hard but still standing. The guys are completely baffled that she has any gas left in the tank. But then a loud crash interrupts the flex. Her overpowered attack just accidentally blew open a hidden door in the wall. Realizing the secret manual has to be inside, the boys immediately ditch the fight and make a mad dash for the prize. San is caught completely off guard. Wugong intercepts the other disciple to run interference, screaming for his spear-wielding bro to secure the bag. Left in the dust, San grips her sword. Her obsession with getting revenge on her brother has completely hijacked her brain. She has been searching for him for years, and now she looks up with pure, unhinged desperation. Woon watches in a cold sweat as his sister completely loses her chill. She unleashes a massive wave of glowing purple energy that threatens to nuke the entire arena. Our spear boy is forced to leap back as the blast radius expands. Midair, he realizes that dodging is his only ticket to survival, but then he asks himself what his crazy new master would do in this exact situation. As San drops her fiery white flower art like a literal meteor, he snaps out of his panic. He remembers he is not some legendary Sect leader. He is just a guy with a spear and a whole lot of grit. He bites down hard and charges straight into the meat grinder. He spins up his own revolving chain combo to meet her head-on. Pushing past his absolute limits, he screams through the pain. He throws everything he has into one final abyssal arc spear strike, hoping it is enough to shatter her ultimate move. Flashback time. A woman in white robes smiles brightly and drops a massive bombshell. She tells the bearded man she is going to fix everything, even if it means she can never come back. She brushes off the giant red flags like it is just another Tuesday. A young girl watches from her bed in total shock. The bearded man just stares down with a heavy look. He already knows these kids are about to inherit a massive pile of trauma. Snap back to reality. The girl wakes up looking completely dazed. A young disciple rushes over to check on her. He tells her to take it easy since she completely drained her inner energy inside that brutal illusion trial. She clutches her chest as phantom pain rips through her. The guy reminds her that she literally passed out from the shock of getting her heart skewered on iron bars. She remembers the screaming and the absolute humiliation of her total defeat. She completely loses her mind. She blames herself for letting her emotions ruin the entire plan. She starts violently scratching her own arms until they bleed. The disciple screams at her to stop because hands are literally everything to a swordsman. A familiar voice echoes in her head reminding her to cherish them just like she was taught back in the day. Our boy strolls right into the recovery room and politely tells the attendant to take a hike. Left alone with his bedridden little sister, he flashes a warm smile. But she is absolutely not having it, glaring daggers at him and demanding to know why the hell he is even here. Meanwhile, back at the tournament grounds, the shadowless swordsman is sweating bullets over the absolute chaos unfolding in the arena. The eye-patch-wearing eldest son of the Backley clan steps up behind him, pointing out that the first trial was all about adaptability. And since the underdog squad is being trained by our boy, they basically had a cheat code. He praises our protagonist's uncanny knack for finding the perfect answer and his relentless obsession with securing the bag. Thanks to his big brain schemes, the next trial is going to be a total nightmare. And right on cue, the rival school's elders start leaking some serious killer intent from the stands. Up in the VIP box, the Alliance higher-ups admit they knew the former captain would make things difficult, but his stage-shattering strategy was just way too overwhelming. Down below, the supposedly doomed disciples celebrate their massive upset victory, completely flipping the script on the rigged tournament. The crowd is absolutely losing their minds. Everyone loves a good underdog story, and the Murion squad just delivered a massive upset. Up in the stands, our eye-patch guy is eating this up. He knows the next round is going to be an absolute movie. Down at the local tavern, though, not everyone is celebrating. This guy is aggressively chugging his drink and slamming his cup like it owes him money. He knew his side was probably going to take an L in the first match, but actually watching it happen still stings. Plus, he just lost a massive bag of cold iron betting on them, so his wallet is crying right now. His bald buddy is just trying to figure out what the deal is with this righteous heavens sect leader. Our angry gambler admits the guy has always been an absolute menace. Back in the day, he used to stir up drama between the schools and then just casually go wipe out unorthodox factions for fun. He was way too competent and slick for his own good, which pissed everyone off. But the crazy part is nobody actually hated him. His real superpower was not his big brain or his sword skills. It was his insane charisma and ability to read people like a book. The gambler leans in with a smirk, dropping some exclusive lore. He brings up the guy's younger sister, which totally confuses his buddy. Apparently, even though our boy abandoned his clan and left his little sister behind, years ago he never actually shut up about her. He was constantly flexing his siblings to anyone who would listen. Cut to our boy looking surprisingly soft. The gambler figures there had to be some massive dark secret keeping him from going back home. And speak of the devil, we jump straight to him standing over his bedridden sister. She is still super salty about taking that massive L and immediately accuses him of just showing up to gloat about his victory. Our boy is casually messing with his sister's hair while she glares daggers at him. She snaps and yells at him for ghosting her for 15 straight years. He calmly replies that he had his reasons, which just makes her groan in frustration. He finally drops the lore bomb. 15 years ago, he dug into their mother's death and found out the culprit was one of the 10 supreme evils. But their dad, the big bad clan head, just gave up on revenge. Knowing something was fishy, our guy dipped from the clan to investigate on his own. He grinded his way through different factions all the way to the front lines of the Marine Alliance. Out there, where his family's influence couldn't reach him, he finally learned the dark truth. Cue the edgy Blood Moon flashback with a whole army of demons bowing down to their ruler. He tells San she wouldn't be able to handle the reality of it right now, but he also can't just stand by and watch her tear herself apart over his absence. So he proposes a little wager. If she wins the upcoming tournament, he promises to spill all his secrets. And his stakes? He flashes a charismatic smile and tells her he wants her to pack her bags and join his brand new sect. At a local tavern, the Murion squad is celebrating their massive first-round victory. The rowdy girl of the group is already calling for another bottle while her teammates try to remind her they are supposed to be resting. But she is way too hyped up on their win and pulls Siowa into a massive hug. The drinks keep flowing and the vibes are immaculate until a loud voice completely kills the mood. A pompous guy from the Namgoon clan starts screaming across the room, calling the shadowless swordsman a rat-like bastard. The swordsman nervously tries to laugh it off and greet him, but the Namgoon vice-captain is not having it. He sneers at the master and his quiet disciple, calling them useless wretches who rely on others to do their dirty work. The quiet girl clenches her fist, ready to throw hands. Her master tries to politely excuse them to avoid a scene, but before they can walk away, a voice yells out that heaven will punish him. Suddenly, a thick slab of meat flies through the air and slaps the Namgoon captain right across his smug face. He stammers in absolute shock as the rowdy girl pops up, covering her mouth in mock apology. Our boy pulls the green-haired troublemaker aside for a little chat. She totally expects a massive lecture about watching her conduct during this sensitive time, but our guy hits her with the ultimate Uno reverse card. He tells her to do the exact opposite. Cut to a quick flashback of the tavern chaos. After literally chucking a piece of meat straight into that arrogant Namgung warrior's face, she hits him with the most innocent oopsie-daisy act ever. She claims she was just a little tipsy and her hand magically slipped from across the room. The dude is absolutely fuming and demands she get on her knees to apologize, but our girl just drops the cute act and gets ready to throw hands. Back in the present, our guy lays it out straight. Since they completely dominated the first match, they are officially public enemy number 1. Everyone is going to be gunting for them now, so instead of backing down, he gives her the ultimate green light to just ram straight into anyone who tries to start beef. He promises to take full responsibility for whatever chaos she causes. Meanwhile, back at the actual tavern standoff, things are getting spicy. The older swordsman is desperately trying to hold his own disciple back from escalating the situation. He begs her to just drop it and walk away, but the Namgung warrior is absolutely seething with rage. The crowd immediately starts whispering and spilling the tea. They question how the older swordsman even has the audacity to show his face at the Marine Alliance after abandoning his comrades during a massive demon raid 15 years ago. The Namgung girl is absolutely losing it on the old man. She brings up the massive demon incident from 15 years ago when the Marine Alliance had to step in. Mustache guy just stands there looking smug while she shakes with pure rage. Flashback time. 15 years ago, the shadowless swordsman ditched his main squad to go save a random village. He is out here fighting spiked demons in the snow to protect a crying kid. Spoiler alert, the kid was Dan Rion. Back in the present, the old man is sweating bullets and looking guilty as hell. The girl demands an apology because to her friend he was a hero. Mustache guy just scoffs at the whole thing like it is a joke. Mustache guy points an accusing finger and starts screaming. He claims that because the swordsman went AWOL that day, the main operation failed and 10 Namgung martial artists died. He is basically saying the old man traded 10 elite lives for one random kid. The girl is trembling with fury. She screams that you cannot compare the life of one child to 10 trained martial artists. Mustache guy just smirks and asks if the value of life is really different. That is the last straw. She draws her sword and demands he take it back. Mustache guy just smiles cockily and asks if she can even handle the smoke. But before this boomer can draw his blade, our boy swoops in from the top rope and clamps a hand on his shoulder. He lands gracefully, completely unfazed by the guy's tantrum. The Namgung lackey barks back, asking if our guy seriously thinks the old man did nothing wrong by abandoning his post 15 years ago. The short-haired girl is absolutely stunned that her sect leader is actually defending them. Our boy just flashes a cocky grin. He tells the guy that he finds it pretty hard to accept that the value of a life changes just because someone wears a fancy uniform. The Namgung warrior absolutely loses his mind, screaming that our guy is looking down on the prestigious Heavenly Sword Corps. The quiet girl watches in shock as our boy casually proposes a high-stakes wager. If this supposedly useless mute can do the work of 10 men in the next tournament trial, then the Namgung clan has to issue a formal apology. The poor girl immediately starts sweating bullets at the insane pressure. The boomer scoffs at the impossible odds and demands that our boy kneel and beg for forgiveness when she inevitably fails. But he immediately regrets opening his mouth. Our guy's eyes glow a menacing red as he flashes a demonic smile, declaring that the biggest crime here is daring to insult his disciples right to his face. That terrifying aura is enough to send the Namgung warrior sprinting for the hills. The old man thanks our boy for the save, but our guy just sighs and asks why he refuses to act like a dignified master in front of his own student. Our boy looks the older swordsman dead in the eye and asks if he actually regrets the choice he made 15 years ago. The guy stammers and tries to deny it, but Woon cuts him right off. He declares he is going to use this upcoming tournament to prove exactly how much the kid he saved has grown into a total powerhouse. Dropping a rare warm smile, he puts a hand on Dan's shoulder, fully ready to show the haters what she is made of. Later that night, outside the dorms, our spear-wielding trainee is sneaking out for some midnight practice, but his short-haired classmate catches him in the act and decides she is tagging along. He tries to justify sitting out the recent tavern brawl by claiming he didn't want to escalate things. He points out that if their new boss hadn't shown up to save the day, they would be in deep trouble right now. He reminds her they need to keep their eyes on the prize and focus entirely on winning the upcoming tournament. She just smiles, knowing he is totally right. They have all been grinding their gears off to prepare for this exact moment. Meanwhile, the girl at the center of all that tavern drama is sitting quietly nearby, eavesdropping on their whole pep talk. She realizes her classmates are way too kind for their own good. She wonders why their sect leader is so absolutely certain they are going to win this thing. Staring at the hairpin her master gave her, she remembers his warm smile and realizes she cannot just sit around feeling sorry for herself while everyone else fights her battles. Tying her hair back, she finally steals her resolve and marches straight to the boss's door to ask for some much-needed help. Ryan finally swallows her pride and knocks on the boss's door. Our boy is sitting there like a Bond villain, completely expecting her. Up in the VIP seats, the scarred unorthodox leader is feeling spicy and bets his mustached buddy that Marion is going to sweep the tournament. The mustached man thinks he is crazy. Sure, Woon is a miracle worker, but this next round is a small-scale skirmish that relies entirely on real combat experience. something these pampered disciples completely lack. But he clearly does not know that Woon's teaching methods involve traumatizing his students until their survival instincts kick in. The mustached man is just biding his time until the tournament wraps up so he can make his real play. The second trial officially kicks off. It is a classic game of capture the flag, and the Mujong school immediately claims the high ground. Their leader is not taking any chances this time. He sends out a massive scouting party of 10, leaving only a squad of 6 to defend the base. He refuses to let Marion get the jump on them again, keeping his absolute best fighters, including the boss's sister, right by the flag. Up in the VIP stands, the Marim Alliance elder nods approvingly at the Mujong school's textbook strategy. But his smugness evaporates into pure panic a second later when he realizes the Marion disciples have completely vanished from the map. The unorthodox leader just cackles like a supervillain, absolutely loving the chaos. Cut to 4 hours later. The Mujong team is sweating bullets because their entire scouting unit has gone radio silent. The leader starts barking at the moody swordswoman, telling her to go check on them since she is the only one fast enough to escape an ambush. She reluctantly agrees, reminding herself that she has to win this tournament to finally get the truth out of her brother. She leaps into the forest and immediately starts finding her team's code marks carved into the trees. But something feels off. The marks are way too obvious, and they claim the search is already complete across massive chunks of the map. The little sister checks the scouting marks on the trees, totally convinced her brother couldn't have leveled up his scrub squad in just 2 months. She figures she just needs to head northwest to bump into her missing teammates and leaps into the forest. But as she tracks the trail, things start looking super sus. The carved codes claim the scouts cleared the northwest, the west, and the southwest. She stops dead in her tracks, realizing it makes zero sense for them to finish a full sweep without running into a single enemy. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes triggers her fight or flight. She whips around and swings her blade, only to clash steel with one of her own guys. The dude nearly has a heart attack, screaming her name and asking what the heck she is doing out here. She glares at the 2 bozos and asks if they are blind. She points out that the fake clear marks are plastered literally everywhere, meaning the enemy is playing them like a fiddle. Realizing their base is probably getting flanked right now, she screams at them to fall back and warn the captain before launching herself back into the trees. With the enemy completely bamboozled by the fake code marks, our boy drops in from the sky like a literal ninja. He hits the grass with a massive burst of speed, ready to turn this little game of capture the flag into an absolute bloodbath. Back at the Marion camp, the squad is absolutely shook when our boy Woon casually drops that the entire strategy for the second round rests on the shoulders of the quiet girl Dan Rion. The guys immediately start sweating, asking if he is basically saying they cannot beat the rival school without him holding their hands. Woon just smirks and hits them with a hard yes, but assures them he has already downloaded the winning game plan straight into Rion's brain, warning the meatheads not to blow it by getting too hyped up. Flashing back to their private tutoring sessions, Woon quizzes her on the most crucial element for dominating a battlefield. She throws out the obvious answers like raw power or a big brain tactician, but Woon shuts that down, leaving her completely stumped. He drops some ancient wisdom, revealing that the ultimate key to winning without even throwing a punch is pure, unadulterated information. Rayon slowly starts to put the pieces together, realizing that gathering intel is the real name of the game. Woon is laying down the law for the second round. He slams a stack of books on the desk, telling our nervous scout girl Dan Rion that these are the enemy ciphers they have gathered so far. He points right at her, dropping the ultimate assignment. She needs to crack the rival school's secret codes. If she can pull that off, they basically own the battlefield. She looks like she just got asked to solve a calculus exam in a foreign language. But our boy is not just throwing her to the wolves. He tells her not to sweat it, gassing up her observation skills. Behind the scenes, he is actually pumping her full of system buffs, burning 20 drops of essence water to forcefully upgrade her brain power. Woon gives that classic cocky smirk as the system works its magic. Suddenly, Rion unlocks a brand new technique. A literal glowing blue targeting HUD pops up over her left eye. Cipher decoding has officially manifested. Armed with her new built-in wall hacks, she takes to the trees to scout the area. We get a quick title card drop before cutting to the forest below, where an enemy disciple is sprinting through the grass, suddenly realizing their little search party is wrapping up way too fast. The rival scouts realize too late they have been herded into a trap. Surrounded by the spear guy and his squad, the enemy is outraged that they abandoned their flag to gang up on him. But before he can complain to the manager, another disciple drops from the sky and slams him face first into the dirt. With 6 enemies down, the squad looks pretty relaxed. But the spear guy reminds them that their chill vibe is only possible because our girl Dan Rion is out there sweating bullets to decode the enemy ciphers. Realizing they need to step up their game, the squad pops out of the bushes to ambush the next poor sap. Meanwhile, Ryan is zipping through the forest like a ninja. Remembering Woon's lesson about controlling information, she activates her new decoding skill. Her observation stats get a massive buff, expanding her search range. She has been intercepting the rival scout ciphers all match, using their own comms to lure them right into her classmates' waiting fists. With the plan going off without a hitch, she decides it is time to regroup and hunt down the enemy flag. But she suddenly hits the brakes when she spots Woon's sister sprinting through the trees. Rion realizes the enemy must have noticed their scouts going dark. Crouching in the grass, she deduces that the sister is out here alone to confirm a path, which means the direction she came from is a straight shot to the rival flag. Our girl is hauling absolute ass through the forest with a massive stone pillar strapped to her back. She is looking completely locked in. The boss watches from the VIP seats, noting that despite their round 1 victory, she was still sweating bullets about dragging the team down, so she decided to take matters into her own hands for round 2. He explains that her speed is her ultimate weapon. She literally outran the Heavenly Squad during boot camp, so he sent her out solo to force her to stop doubting her own potential. Back with the main squad, the boys get a ping. It is a coded message from their Star Scout confirming she found the enemy flag. The crew gets hyped and rolls out to secure the bag. Meanwhile, the angry sister is slicing her way through the brush. She checks the drop points and realizes her entire scouting party has been wiped off the map. Knowing she is neck-deep in a trap, she decides to just full send it anyway. But then a sudden realization hits her. Our dark-haired girl is zooming through the forest and her brain is working overtime. She realizes the enemy deliberately left a couple of scouts alive just to throw her off the scent. It was a massive bait to clear suspicion from that area. She figures the last guy alive is the most suspicious lead she has. She tracks the lead and spots her target chilling up on a cliff. It is the fast-footed girl carrying a massive bundle on her back. Our girl finally connects the dots. She could not find the flag because this chick literally turned herself into the flag and has been running around with it the whole time. Big brain plays. Absolutely furious, she screams at the girl to stay right there, unless she wants the flag completely destroyed. The flag carrier looks back, and she is definitely sweating bullets now. And then we get a nice little Lunar New Year illustration from the artist to wrap things up. Up on a grassy ridge, the lead scout stares out at the mountains, wondering if their heavy hitter got taken out. His bald buddy tells him to quit joking around since they are literally in the middle of a war zone. But the scout is dead serious. He grabs a signal flare, knowing something is totally off. Their ace has been gone for half an hour, and if they do not reinforce their position right now, they are sitting ducks. The bald guy warns him that calling for backup will just expose their location, but the scout is willing to take that risk. Too bad he is a little late. A squad of enemy fighters suddenly drops from the sky like a tactical strike team and completely ambushes the camp. The scout draws his sword and quickly scans the chaotic battlefield. He realizes the enemy speedster is nowhere to be found and figures she must be hanging back to guard their flag while the rest of the squad goes all out. But before he can even process the strategy, our boy Wugang leaps right into his face. The scout mocks him for suddenly switching up his weapon techniques, but Wugang just flashes a cocky grin and clashes blades with a heavy strike. He is carrying a massive wrapped bundle right on his back and is ready to completely wreck this guy. The dark-haired scout is sweating bullets, wondering where his backup is, but he gets his answer when the underdog squad literally drops in from the sky. And plot twist, every single one of them is strapped with a massive decoy flag on their backs. Our boy flashes a cocky grin, reminding them they did not come here to play games. They came to win. The enemy leader is absolutely flabbergasted as the gray-robed squad touches down. The young blood rallies his troops, screaming for his school to hold the line. The rock pillar girl is hyped out of her mind, ready to throw down as their leader orders them to protect their cargo at all costs. The dark-haired scout snaps out of his shock and screams at his team to jump them. It is an all-out brawl on the grassy hills. The scout flashes a wicked smirk, mocking our boy for being way too confident. He signals his goons to step up, reminding the kid that he was basically a punching bag back in the first round. But the young leader just smiles right back. That was then, and this is now. He channels his newly purified energy, igniting his blade with a blazing golden aura that completely blindsides his haters. Up in the VIP stands, the Unorthodox Alliance leader and the Marine strategists are locked in, realizing this kid is not the same scrub from a month ago. Our boy is absolutely styling on these kids, holding off 3 opponents at once with a fiery grin. He is determined to secure this bag, and with that, we get the title card drop. Up in the VIP section, the Namgoon clan head is absolutely losing his mind. He slams his desk, screaming that there has to be a spy in the advisor corps who leaked the cipher. But an advisor quickly shuts him down, telling him to watch his mouth. He asks if the clan head seriously believes these underdog disciples could pull off a heist like that, and reminds him to keep his composure since everyone is watching his temper tantrum. Meanwhile, the Unorthodox Alliance leader is just sitting back and enjoying the show. He is genuinely impressed they managed to decode the cipher. The clan head is still fuming about the flag being moved, but the advisor drops the ultimate technicality. There is literally no rule that says you cannot move the flag. This loophole leaves the Great Disaster Sword absolutely seething while the unorthodox leader just smirks, knowing things are getting spicy. Back down in the dirt, our boy is still putting on a masterclass. He clashes blades midair and continues to juggle multiple opponents, proving that his glow-up was no joke. Our boy Wugang is absolutely styling on these guys. He clashes blades midair and boldly declares that victory belongs to them today. Up in the VIP section, the shadowless swordsman is losing his absolute mind. He is gripping his eye patch buddy so hard the guy has to beg him to let go. The fan guy reminds him that he called it from the start. The squad's true strength is not just raw stats. It is about strategy, unity, and having a master craftsman like our boy Woon pulling the strings. The swordsman starts sweating bullets, realizing the massive political headache if these underdogs actually pull off a win. But the fan guy just laughs, telling him to chill and watch how his own disciple fights. Down in the arena, the speedy girl is still playing the ultimate game of tag. Her furious pursuer is absolutely fed up, screaming at her to stop running and fight, which actually makes our decoy flinch. Back in the stands, Siowa asks our boy if he even knows who has the real flag. Woon just smirks. He left the entire operation to Dan Rian. Since she is the fastest, she is probably carrying the goods, but the real goal is just keeping it out of enemy hands. By successfully baiting his psycho sister into a wild goose chase, Dan Rian has already won the tactical battle. Down in the arena, the chase continues across the grassy plains. San is screaming at her to stop running, and finally Dan Rion hits the brakes, skidding to a halt right at the edge of a cliff. Up in the VIP section, Jangbang and the eye patch guy are glued to the action, waiting to see if the decoy play actually pays off. Cornered on the ridge, Dan Rion realizes that just running away won't secure the victory. She draws her sword, ready to throw down. San flashes a sadistic grin, praising her for finally making the right choice and promising to end this quickly. Dan Rion takes a deep breath, locking in for the fight of her life.